Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of We're Screwed. I'm your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash, and the other co-host, sometimes when his ass shows up, Andy Andrews. How are y'all doing?
Hey. That's what
What
happens
is
when you
up?
got a job. You can't be famous like some people. Live off
Hey,
fucking books and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I've got 2 books out, and I'm famous, and I still work. So- but
Must
how's
not be
everybody
that damn
doing?
famous.
Rent a cop.
Hey,
All right, here's what I want to talk about tonight. Everybody saw the debate, okay? This isn't going to be a show where we go through all of the stuff from the debate because that's been done like a million times already at this point. But I thought it would be kind of interesting to kind of try to talk and cover some other stuff that has to do with it. Okay, my main question that I want to deal with tonight is who in the hell is running the country? Because as we saw at the debate, it was a complete train wreck. There's a reason why I say that Biden has oatmeal for brains. There's a reason why he's a dumbass. Because he is old and senile. And now everybody who hasn't been paying attention has actually seen that. Okay, it's not just us that sees it anymore, like the conservatives, the people that follow this stuff. It is the whole country, and everybody freaked out. But what nobody's really talking about, and what I want to talk about, is he's been like this for quite a while. Okay, there's been for over a year or more, there's been video of him just walking off stage, just leaving, meetings. Video of him defecating in his own pants, where he just stops and kind of does a little squat, does that kind of deal, right? He's shitting himself. Okay, so this stuff has been on camera for a long time. So it's obvious that he has been completely and totally out of his freaking mind for probably half his presidency at least. Okay, hell, last time he ran in the debates, he wasn't that sharp. Okay, so it's gotten worse since then. So my question is, who in the hell is actually running the country? Because it's not Joe. Joe can't even give a speech without a teleprompter. And when he gives a speech with a teleprompter, as you just saw today or yesterday, or a couple days ago, depending on when you're watching this, you just saw him give a speech about the Supreme Court decision that says that you can't criminally charge a president for something they did when they're in office. And he came out and gave a speech, and he read it off the teleprompter. He read it well, actually, for Biden. Not well for a normal person, but well for that idiot, okay? He read it so well, in fact, that he read the stage directions. Stage directions, when you're like, you give a line that's supposed to be a really cool line and everybody's supposed to clap. So then you'll say, and he'll never be president again. Hold for applause. He'll read that part. Look around and point. He'll read that part. And that's what he did in this speech. He read the stage directions like a dipshit, like he always does. So he's not there, okay? Who's running the country? Now, there's a lot of crazy stuff that's been going on since the debate. Okay, I'm going to break this down for you so you understand what's going on. For those of you that don't follow this stuff. Obama wants Biden to drop out. Obama went to the White House and met with Biden and his wife Jill to tell Biden he needs to drop the hell out the race. Okay, Biden was super embarrassed by his debate performance, and he was considering dropping out of the race. Jill Biden stood up and raised a hell of a ruckus. Because old Jill Biden likes being first lady. She likes that power. She likes being taken around in motorcades and having a chef on duty 24 hours a day and all that stuff, right? So basically, this is what happens. You're not going to believe this shit, but I swear to God, it happened. I read an article about it today. Jill walked Barack Obama out of the room. Like, led him out. Come on, boy. And led him out the room. And basically told him to go fuck himself. Said there ain't no way in hell that Joe is dropping out of the race and he can just get the hell out of there right now. Just told his ass off and just told him to go fuck off. Okay? Hunter Biden, you remember Hunter, the crackhead son that like took his dead brother's wife? that won't claim his kid, that guy, he is now in all the meetings, all the campaign meetings. Him and Jill are in all the meetings. They took Biden to Camp David to supposedly think about whether he's going to drop out of the race or not. And they screamed him up one side and down the other, told him, you are not dropping out of this damn race no matter what, okay? Democrats want him to drop out because he sucks and he can't win. He doesn't want to drop out. Hunter and Jill will not let him drop out. They are screaming and hollering, no way in hell it's happening, right? You got Barack Obama that wants him to drop out because he wants Michelle to be president. You got Hillary Clinton. You remember Hillary Clinton, old troll face? That chick? She wants to be president again. She's trying to run. So now she's in these meetings with Obama saying, hey, it's my turn again. I never got to win, so I'm going to win. So you got Michelle. You got Hillary, okay? You got Kamala Harris. Remember Kamala Harris, the vice president of the United States? They want to get rid of her completely. They don't want her even on the ticket. Now, Kamala Harris is justifiably pissed off. She's like, wait a minute. If you want to get rid of the retard, that's fine, right? I've had to put up with this idiot for 4 years almost now. I don't want to put up with his ass no more. I'm cool with you getting rid of his dumb ass. But you're not going to kick me off the ticket. I'm going to be president. I'm the fucking vice president. Democrats are like, fuck you. We don't want you as vice president. You suck. Nobody likes you. You're a laughing hyena. You're a moron. Nobody wants to vote for you. Okay? She's madder than hell. This gives the Democrats one hell of a problem. Because, see, the Democrats, they traffic in race. They always play the race card. The whole reason Kamala's on the ticket was because she's black and she's a woman. Well, kind of black. She's like black and Indian. But she's close enough to black, and she's on the ticket because she's a woman. So now the Democrats got to figure out how they're going to replace the first black female vice president. Instead of making her the president, becoming not only the first female president, but the first female black president. They got to figure out how they're going to replace her with a white guy. Because who they want is Gavin Newsom as well. Okay? So they're either going to replace her with Gavin Newsom, Hillary Clinton, Michelle Obama, or Gretchen Whitmer. Now, for those who don't know who Gretchen Whitmer is the completely failed piece of garbage governor of Michigan. Everybody hates her. Like, people in Michigan don't even like this chick. She is a piece of trash. You probably remember her in the news from the failed kidnapping plot, where supposedly some right-wing MAGA guys were going to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer, but turns out it was pretty much mostly FBI informants and undercover agents that all kind of worked together to try to get this plot going to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer, and the only actual real people that were involved with it were idiots that didn't want to do it. You know, they weren't very bright, and they didn't want any part of it, and they told the FBI, hey, man, we don't want to do this shit. So everybody was pushing to actually do it with FBI. That's who Gretchen Whitmer is. Gretchen Whitmer says publicly that Biden cannot win Michigan. Therefore, he cannot win the presidency. So the only hope the Democrats have is putting her on the ticket. She wants to be president. So you got Michelle, Hillary, Kamala still fighting. You got Gretchen Whitmer. You got Gavin Newsom. 4 women, 1 guy. All of them white. Except for Kamala, which nobody wants, except for Kamala. And Michelle, who doesn't even really want it. But Barack wants her to run. And she's their best hope, is what they think. So now it's going to get a little crazier, because there's also talk of one more woman in the race. Jill Biden taking over for her husband as president. Now, she really has no experience. I mean, she doesn't know what the hell she's doing, but then again, neither is Joe. Joe's been in government for 50 years, and he sucked the whole time. You know, and now he don't even know who the hell he is. Did you guys see after the debate when he gave his little speech? Him and Jill were on stage, and he was standing there like, all retarded looking, and Jill's like, "You did such a good job. Yes, you did. You answered every question. You're such a good boy." That's literally what happened. Go watch the film, man. It's insane. She was talking to him like a toddler. And did Biden go, "Hey, lady, don't talk to me like that. I'm the president of the fucking United States"? No, he went. He was so happy. He just had this look on his face like, "I'm going to get some ice cream later." It was ridiculous. Absolutely nuts, man. That's all going on. Okay? At the same time, it's going to get crazier. At the same time, the Supreme Court just comes out and issues a ruling saying that you cannot charge a president or a former president criminally for something they did in office, right? And any evidence that is presented in a case that happened before or after they were in office has to be dropped if it took place while they were in office. Okay, now, the only case that Trump has actually been convicted on is this sham trial in New York, right? The whole Stormy Daniels bullshit. And I say bullshit because it's absolute bullshit, and I'll get to that in just a second. That's the only case he's actually been convicted in. But the problem is, a lot of the evidence they used were signed checks from when he was in office. All that has to be dropped. And a lot of the witnesses they used were people that worked for him when he was president. So all that's got to be dropped. So literally they're left with no evidence, even though they didn't really have any evidence in the first place, because it's kind of hard to have evidence when there's no crime. And they never did name a crime. They just said that they've elevated everything to felonies, but they never told us what the hell they were. Just some sort of campaign finance bullshit, right? So here's why I say it's absolute bullshit. Because we already did this dance before with this Stormy Daniels nonsense. Remember when they were trying to smear Trump with it before? And Trump said, I didn't do that. I didn't have sex with that woman. And that he never paid anything, that it was Cohen that did it. And remember, there was proof given. We have the freaking receipts of Cohen going out and taking out another mortgage and another personal loan so that he could make those payments to her. And that Cohen himself said he never told Trump about it, that Trump didn't know anything about it. And Trump adamantly said, I did not have sex with Stormy Daniels. And it wasn't like the Bill Clinton, I did not have sex relations with that woman. It wasn't like that. He actually said he didn't do it. And Stormy said she didn't do it either. After all the scandal happened, she gave an interview. I believe it was in a New York Post, where she admitted that she never actually had sex with Donald Trump, that it was all bullshit. And the reason she admitted that, because she thought that they were going to take care of her. And after it didn't work, they just dropped her and said, screw you. You're not getting anything you were promised. So she got pissed off and said, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to tell the truth then. Fuck y'all. And she did an interview. I believe it was with the New York Post. So if you look that up, you should be able to find it. Because I had the article at one time. I've read it. I've seen it. I saved it. She admitted point blank that she did not have sex with Donald Trump, that it was all bullshit lie. Okay? So all of this shit is based on a lie. Like everything else they do. But even if it was true, which it's not, it wouldn't matter because it has to be thrown out, because the bulk of the evidence that they used in the trial had to do with him being president. So according to the Supreme Court, it is no longer good. It's null and void, has to be thrown out. So they don't have him on shit, you know? And that was the speech that Biden came out and gave. As we're recording it, it was today, but it might be a couple days ago for you guys, where he literally read the stage directions like a dipshit. So that's basically what's going on. So you got a ton of drama going on with, will Biden drop out? If Biden does drop out, who will take his place? Now this gets even crazier and it gets richer. Let's say somehow by a miracle they convince Jill and Hunter to let Biden drop out tomorrow. Okay? Even if that happens, he still can't be replaced with anybody that's going to be able to win. The reason for that is 3 of the swing states that the Democrats absolutely have to win in order to win the presidency. Nobody else can be on the ballot but Biden. Wisconsin, Ohio, and Georgia. Okay, according to the law in those states, Biden is already on the ballot. So according to the law, the only way they can take Biden off the ballot and replace him with somebody else is if A, Biden dies, which, as Andy said before we started recording, is possible because he's on his way out anyway. Or B, they do the 25th Amendment on it. Now, for those of you who watch who are not political people, who have no idea what the hell the 25th Amendment is, that gives the vice president and several cabinet members the ability to take out a sitting president. If the vice president says, hey, this guy's incompetent, he can't do the job because of mental reasons, medical reasons, something like that, he's no longer fit, and a majority of the cabinet agrees with that assessment, then they can remove a sitting president. They tried to do it to Trump, but they couldn't get it done with Trump because Trump passed all the tests. There was nothing they could say. He took the cognitive function tests twice, and he aced it both times. So they couldn't get rid of it. They might try it with Biden because that's the only way they're going to be able to replace him on the ballot in those 3 swing states. You got another issue, all the money. All that money that Biden raised can't go to anybody else. It's just for Biden-Harris. Now, there's some that say if Harris is the one that takes it over, then potentially that money could stay because she was on the ticket and she's just moved up to president. But that's not 100%. That's probably going to have to be challenged in court to figure it out, because we don't really know. We've never had this happen before. So that's going to be a big issue. They're either going to have to get lucky and he dies, or they're going to have to go the 25th Amendment route and take out a sitting president. Now, as soon as you do that, here's the problem. If you do that, it's not like you can just do the 25th Amendment and then say, okay, now we got him out of office. Now we're going to run Michelle, or now we're going to run Gavin Newsom, or we're going to run Gretchen Whitmer, we're going to run Hillary or Jill or whatever, right? It doesn't work that way. As soon as you take him out with the 25th Amendment, the laughing hyena takes over. Kamala becomes president because that's the line of succession. If you were to take Kamala out, Speaker of the House would become president, okay? It's the way the line of succession works. So there's no way they can get rid of Joe and put somebody other than Kamala in legally. Now, does that mean that they won't try to do it anyway? No, I don't mean that, because you know the hell they will. They don't give a damn about the law. They never gave a damn about the law. Okay, so I'm sure they're going to try to do something. So you got a lot of speculation going on with this. You got a lot of people chirping out. Okay, Bill O'Reilly came out and made a statement that the decision had already been made that Biden was dropping out, and that they were just waiting for the right time to tell everybody, and they couldn't figure out how they were going to break the news. Problem with that is he come out with that very early, and it was after he put that statement out that all the news dropped of Jill and Hunter saying there's no way in hell he's dropping out, them throwing Obama out, all that kind of stuff. So either Bill didn't know what the hell he was talking about, was just thinking this is what was going to happen, so he's going to try to get out ahead of it and kind of, just take a shot in the dark and hope he's right, or he's part of that big mass of people that are trying to get Biden to drop out so that somebody else can take over, so that the Democrats have a chance in hell. Now, that's another thing we need to discuss. Because what about all the people that already voted? What about all the Democrats who voted in the primary? Their votes don't count? Their votes don't matter to you. You're going to do whatever you can to get rid of Biden because he can't win. And screw what your actual voters think, right? They voted for that man. That's their choice. Their choice is the one that's supposed to go on and run for president. That's the way it's supposed to work. You're not supposed to be able to just say screw what the people want and do whatever the hell you want. That's not the way our system is supposed to work. So you're going to have a lot of explaining to do to your voters. Now, luckily, your voters are very stupid people. Okay, the people that vote Democrat are not very bright. You can tell because they continually vote Democrat. If they were smart, they wouldn't do that, because they'd be able to take a look around them and see that the country's on fire and say, what does every shithole country have in common? What does every shithole city have in common? Let's go even smaller. What does every shithole city in America have in common? They're run by Democrats, every single one of them. What happens every time a Democrat gets in office? The economy goes to shit. Gas prices go through the roof. Everything gets all screwed up. And it takes a Republican to come back in and fix it. It's been happening my whole life. Remember Carter, man? I don't know if you guys were alive back then. I remember that time. I remember having to wait in line to get gas. I remember sitting in the back of the car as we sat in a line in order to put gas in the car. And we were only allowed to get gas on certain days of the week. I remember that. Americans had decided, well, it's over. Sorry, our better days are behind us. It ain't going to get no better than this. We're screwed. This is the way it is now. America has fallen. It's shit now. And then Reagan came around, a Republican, who made people believe in America again, and he brought us back. He brought our economy back. He made us strong again. Made us great again, you could say. And it's a cycle. It happens like that all the time. You know, Clinton got in office. His first 2 years were absolute shit. The same thing happened. You had gas prices going up. The economy was tanking. Everything was going to shit. And then Clinton realized, I'm not going to get reelected. This is terrible. This place is horrible now. What am I going to do? I'm not going to get reelected. And then Newt Gingrich, the Republican Speaker of the House, saved his ass because he came out with a contract for America, which was a whole plan how to restore the economy by the Republicans in Congress. And to Bill Clinton's credit, he did everything that they said. He said, hey, pass that shit, I'll sign it. So they kept passing all these awesome conservative bills, and he kept signing them suckers. And the economy got better, and he got reelected. You know, a lot of people want me to talk probably about the whole Monica Lewinsky thing and him getting a Hummer in the Oval Office. Be honest with you, I don't give a shit. I didn't give a shit then, I don't give a shit now. People say we're supposed to give a shit because that goes towards his character, but if you were under some kind of illusion that Bill Clinton was a moral, upstanding man, you're fucking crazy. Everybody knew he was a scumbag. Even when he was running, you knew he was a scumbag. He's up there with the sunglasses on, playing a saxophone, flirting with chicks in a campaign. You knew he was a piece of trash. You knew exactly what that man was. You voted for him anyway. So don't act like I'm supposed to care that he got a blowjob. Of course he got a blowjob. He's Bill Clinton. His hero was John Kennedy, for God's sakes, who screwed so many chicks in the White House it wasn't even funny. So of course he did. It's not a surprise, you know? Not a surprise at all. It's crazy how people look back on stuff and they have a problem with stuff now that they didn't have a problem with then, you know? I'm consistent. You know, my dad really had a problem with Bill Clinton when he was in office because of that. And I said, Dad, who gives a damn, man? Who cares if the dude gets a blowjob? He's got the most stressful job in the world. If it helps him and it makes it better for him, they're two consenting adults. Who gives a shit? Right? My dad said this, and it actually made sense, but I still didn't care. He said, son, it's not about sex. It's about power. And I said, wait a minute, what do you mean? What do you mean it's not about sex, it's about power? That doesn't make any sense. He said, son, don't worry about the sex. That's not the issue. The issue is he's the president of the United States. She's an intern. He's in a position of power above her. His job is to take care of her, to make sure she's safe, not to put her at risk and put her in danger. He's taking advantage of somebody way less powerful than him. That's a scumbag thing to do. Now, Dad was 100% right then, and he's 100% right now about it. But, once again, don't really care. Don't know Monica Lewinsky, don't give a shit about Monica Lewinsky. She's a consenting adult, she can do whatever the hell she wants. That's the way I look at it. I don't care about sex scandals. I don't care about any of that nonsense. What I care about, can you do the job? Are you a crook? That's important. I don't like Biden, because Biden cannot do the job. And Biden is a crook. 100% Biden's a crook. Now, Biden will probably never go to jail for the stuff he's done. And the reason he won't go to jail is because he's got dementia. He's out of his fucking mind. They were going to charge him. There was an investigation. They were going to charge him for the document cases. And even going back into the Ukraine and Burisma and all that stuff. They were going to start putting charges against Joe Biden. And they did an interview with Joe Biden. He didn't even remember being vice president, guys. That's what the insiders are saying. That he couldn't even fucking remember being vice president. That's why they won't release the audio of it. They release a doctored transcript, a transcript that they have admitted isn't the right transcript, isn't complete. They left shit out. But what the people that were there are saying, he didn't even remember being vice president. So they can't charge him. And the prosecutor came out and said, hey, I can't charge this guy. He won't get convicted. He's out of his fucking mind. He don't remember anything. He can't function. Nobody's going to convict this dude. That's what they said. So he'll probably never do a day in jail for the crimes that he committed, which is a shame, really. You know, I hope the rest of these assholes do. You know, somebody's got to pay for all the shit they're doing. You know, you can't weaponize the Justice Department. You can't weaponize the court system. You can't weaponize the media. You can't weaponize social media. That's not America. And that's what these pieces of shit are doing. They're turning everything in the country against us, the people. And that's bullshit. They work for us. That's the way it's supposed to be. We don't work for them. They don't tell us what the fuck to do. We tell them what to do. That's the way it's supposed to work. The only reason it doesn't work that way is because we've allowed that. Because Americans have gotten lazy and we've gotten stupid. A lot of that stupidity is because of the school system. Because now they're teaching woke nonsense instead of actually educating people and teaching people how to think. But I'm telling you, man, you can see it coming. There's a reckoning. And shit's going to change. And a lot of these people that aren't oatmeal for brains are going to pay for what they've done. And I don't mean pay in some vigilante, crazy-ass way. I mean, if they committed crimes, their ass is going to go to jail for it. Has to. Has to. Because there's only two options here, guys. Option 3, which is that it gets forgotten about and swept under the carpet, is not going to happen. And the reason option 3 is not going to happen is because too many Americans are awake. Too many Americans know what the hell happened. And they're not going to tolerate that shit. They're not going to allow it just to be swept under the damn carpet. So either they're going to have to do something about it and actually hold these people accountable. Our officials that we elect are going to have to do it. Or what's going to end up happening is they're going to get exactly what they've been asking for a long time, which is a civil war. I don't want that. I'm sure none of these gentlemen here with me today want that either. Because that's a worst case scenario and nobody wins in that situation. Well, we all know who's going to win in that situation, but there are no real winners. You don't want that. You know, the only people that want war and that will flippantly ask for war like that are people that have never seen war. People that have no idea what actual fighting is. You know, they're people that play Call of Duty and think they're badasses. You know, these aren't people that have ever been on a battlefield. These are not people that have ever watched their buddies die. Real warriors never want war because they know what the fuck war is. That it's dirty and it's nasty and it's fucking frightening. And you don't want that. But they do for some reason. And I think the reason they do is because they know that's the only way out. You know, they want to try to provoke something while they're in office so that they can use the weight of the military on us. That's exactly what they want. Question is, will the military do it? I spent my whole life on base, man. My whole life. And I've seen many men refuse orders that they believed weren't good orders, that they had a moral problem with filling out those orders. I've seen it with my own eyes. Men say, no, I'm not doing that. You cannot give me that. It's not a good order. I'm not gonna follow that order. You're asking me to do something that's wrong. You're asking me to do something that's illegal and immoral, and I'm not gonna do it. You know, our military used to be the very best of us. Is it still? I hope so. I pray so. Because that's what we're going to need if this ever pops off. And I don't mean we're going to need them to fight for us. We can fight for our damn selves. I mean, we're going to need those men to be honorable and to do the right thing. Because believe me, no matter how bad of an ass you think you are, if the full might of the United States military gets unleashed on you, you're done. There's no coming back, you know. So I've talked for a while now. I wanted to get all that out. I wanted to let everybody know what's going on. I'd like to throw to the gentleman with me and figure out what they think, who they think it's going to be of the people that I mentioned, because the people that I talked about are all the people that are in contention right now to replace Biden. That's all the names that are being thrown out there. So I'm going to go ahead and mute and let whoever wants to pick it up and let me know what they think about it.
Well, I'm not too sure today. Well, the Supreme Court ruling, that was a good ruling, in my opinion, to help out what's going on right now and to kind of slow down the Democratic train of wreck, I guess, as you could call it. But the thing is, we got to look further at what happens when the next Democrat gets into office as president. What are they going to do? We get somebody in there like a Putin, or, what would have Obama done if he would have had the power to just about do anything, with no recoil? And that's the only scary part about it. Yeah, I mean, I think you asked about who's really running this country. I would believe that the George Soroses and the ones that are the energy people, that's who's running the country. The ones that, I watched a documentary not long ago where they were talking about all this space exploration and can we live on Mars and stuff like that. And they were showing the financial backing of that. And it was real funny that it was all of the energy, gurus, all the ones, the big energy guys were the ones that were pushing. And are they pushing that because they know it's about to collapse here and they're going to have to, pay the piper? Or, that's just really weird. That's what that's what the documentary was about. As in who they're going to go with, I think they're going to push Michelle. I think that's what it's going to be, but she doesn't want it. They already tried, didn't they once already try to offer that? And she said she wasn't, interested. Clinton, maybe, but I think I don't know, man. There's too many people that I've talked to that did vote for her when it all was happening, but now that they've seen other things, such as like the Russian dossier, and found out the truth about that, which nobody's ever went in front of any kind of a judge about yet. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, is how can you use funds to go after something that was a lie, that was made up? And it's just, you don't hear about that anymore. You just do not hear about the Russian dossier, the wiping out of the computer. I mean, all this stuff that they knew what happened, everybody knew it. And that's where my issue is, man. You were exactly right when you said we've allowed these people to do what they do. They do work for us. That's what the government was made for, was to have representation of the people. And if you really look at it, man, the Capitol building is ours. The White House is ours. I can understand having security there when you have people there of, significance. But I should be able to not have to make an appointment to walk through the Capitol building. I should be able to go up there, go through whatever security check they have anytime I want to when it's open, and I shouldn't be asked anything because I am the one, along with millions of others, that paid for that. The same with the White House. The same with anything, that is government, that is ours. I mean, if it's military or it holds something like that, then yes, I understand that and not allowing public in. But I think people forget so quick, man, that these people we elect them to represent us. But all the way down, man, to even you're seeing it with mayors and stuff like that now of towns where they just do what they want. They don't care what the they don't care what the majority wants. They're going to do what they want, and people are just allowing it. I actually had a discussion today with a guy that was talking about the whole Biden and his daughter and the shower thing and, her diary and stuff like that. And this guy was taken up for Biden and talking about how can you prove that happened? Because it's right in the freaking diary, dude. That's why the girl said this. And he threw out something about Trump saying about, dating his own daughter. Okay, well, if they actually played that whole thing that Trump said, okay, I'm a father, I'm a single dad, have raised both my boys pretty much by myself. And I can tell you now that I've said my boys are handsome. If I was a girl, I'd date my sons. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what a parent does. And they blew that up, man, into, this guy, he blew it up today as in, well, Trump practically said that he would sleep with his daughter if it wasn't his daughter. And no, he didn't, man. He's sitting there and talking, that is like having your daughter get dressed up for prom and come out and you tell her how beautiful she is and you tell her date how lucky he is. It falls in the same category, man. And that's not, they use what they want you to hear and they cut out things and stuff like that. And that's the media, we know for a fact that the media got so bent when Trump was elected because they knew they wasn't going to get all that extra, benefits and, behind the scenes little things that they get or have over the years. And, that was all done with. I don't know if they'd go with Clinton, man. I'm not sure. I mean, sitting back, they're not going with Kamala Harris because she's, her track record before she even became, anything political other than a judge and stuff like that. Her track record's awful, man. But she fits the character that the Democrats, that's why they put her in there. She was a black woman. And also she was, releasing known criminals out of the system in California. She was just letting them, walk free. Oh my God. Then Trump does it when he gets in office and, it was the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? That he was letting these people out. But yet then the Democrats turn around. You have a well-known immigrant that comes in that is illegal, takes out the life of a young girl. And you've got the Democrats, man, fighting tooth and nail that they did the right thing by just releasing him out of jail. And, we're going to send him back to Mexico. Okay. So he'll be back here, whatever time it takes for him to turn around and walk right back in, because that's pretty much what it is. But we are in desperate need of somebody in office compared to what we have now. And this country is, man, I tell you what worries me the most is how far would Biden with his power, or say like Jill, I heard the same story about that. How far would they be willing to go that it almost seems like, well, you see what the Democratic Party has done when they don't win, then they try to do everything they can. They throw a tantrum. That's what they do. And they got the money and the resources to do it. And they don't stop. And it seems like that nobody else has stood up and said, other than, I just cannot believe, even if you were a Democrat, some of the right in our face things that they have done, that you would not be upset at the fact that these people would think that we are that damn stupid as Americans that we would just allow this to happen and not say a word. And the thing is, that's exactly what's happened. You know what I'm saying? We have just, you can sit down, you've seen it, we've all seen it, where they've went out and interviewed people, man, and they've asked them a question on something, these people hate Trump and they're screaming they hate Trump. And you walk up and ask them a simple political question and they can't answer it. They can't tell you why they hate Trump other than the TV told me that, or my professor told me that, or my school teacher told me that, or the actor, some De Niro or somebody told him that, And it's like, seriously, you're going to listen to people that don't matter, to be honest with you, on your political belief or the country or anything. But I'm not sure, man, none of them that we've even talked about are worth a shit. So we're going to end up with the same candidate, just a different face and, Lord knows what else. But I hate to say it, but I think, Clinton didn't win the first time. I don't know if they would run with her again. But I can tell you that, you still have people out there that just thought Barack Obama was the best thing since sliced bread. And they don't look that he was the one that ushered in all this nonsense. And I think, my opinion, that Obama probably runs the damn country almost anyhow. He's right there doing it, man. It's, you hear even Biden, when he's talking, man, he brings up Barack all the time. Barack, and it's an extension of what Obama was doing, man. And that Biden is nowhere close to being intelligent enough. I don't know if he ever has, but he definitely isn't right now to come up with some of the things that he does. And I really think that Obama runs it right along with Soros. And I think what we're looking at is the ushering in, or trying to usher in, a new world order. And I have seen that for a while, where they're just going to have open borders. We could go wherever we want, and do whatever we want to do. And, you have someone, Trump, I truly believe that he wants democracy and he wants America to be great. And I think that he would do it. Does his closet have no skeletons in it? Absolutely not. But the thing is, we need somebody that's smart in business to get us back in shape. I do remember, man, sitting with my dad in the 70s. I remember that being a big deal, of trying to figure out how to use the gas wisely so they still could get to working back. And it was always based on the license plate. I can't remember exactly if it was the letters or numbers on it or something like that, but that's what it was based on. So we got lucky as a family, and we had two cars and they had opposite. The license plates were opposite. So we were almost able to go, every other day or something like that, however they did it. But I remember sitting right on Main Street in Strasburg in a line. They made us, I remember the cops having to pretty much, have somebody out there at all times checking your license plate, making sure that it was your, you wasn't switching tags to try to get in there, just like when we had this whole gas crisis before. If you remember how many people tried to, they had a guy just in Front Royal that they busted, where he would, he was smart, man, but he rolled up and would park over top of where they fill the gas tanks up at. And he had a hose and he would drop it right down into that. And he would suck up, man, as much as he could put into the reservoir that he had. But I watched people, man. I watched people filling up 55-gallon drums of gas. But the funniest shit that I ever seen was pulling up. I pulled up in the sheets, and everybody knows that you don't put gas in like fucking, I mean, I guess you could put some in a milk cart, milk jug, a plastic one. I don't know if I would trust it a whole lot. But here was the guy, man. He was filling up these big, huge styrofoam, like, I don't know what they were, man. And he was filling it up. And the funny thing was, right slap on the side of his car, about, I don't know, probably a 5x5 big sticker said Joe Biden or whatever. And this dude's standing right beside it. And if I could have caught a picture of it, I wanted to, but and he's standing there filling up this styrofoam thing that did not fucking last, if it lasted before he pulled out of the gas station. And it was it was 2 or 3 of them, and he didn't have anything in it. Then they busted a guy up in Winchester that was filling up freaking like Walmart plastic bags, man, of gas, and then tying them shut. But the sad thing is, man, that shows you their intelligence, but just having to do that's how sad it is, man. I don't think people realize that we still are damn lucky for what we have here in this country. And people don't realize that, but they are taking and chopping at it. The Democratic Party has been chopping at it little by little by little by little, man. So I don't, we could sit here and say it's about money, it's about power, it's all the above. They want to be able to tell you when point blank is, you don't have to have a whole lot of intelligence to understand that the more that the government gives, such as stimulus and stuff like that, and the more that we come dependent on them, the more they can do to us. Because if it comes down to it and you're fucking starving and your kids are starving and shit, and they tell you that you got to do something to be able to get groceries, 90% of the people out here, unfortunately, are probably going to do it. I noticed living here in Pennsylvania, it's nice to see out here where I'm at that people are still growing their own vegetables, and there's still gardens out here and stuff like that. Because when I lived in Winchester, Virginia, not saying for the state, I'm just saying there was people, I lived out in the country, man, and I don't think I passed too many gardens whatsoever, man, in probably a 10-mile radius. And it's like, I don't hear of anybody, you used to go into Walmart, or used to go into Dollar General or something, and this time of year you would have canning supplies everywhere. You don't even see that shit anymore, man. People don't, it's convenience. The more convenience that they keep people less time in a store or on their asses at home where they don't have to get up and move, everybody goes for that. Every single person that I know, well, not everybody, not you guys, you all get up, but it's just convenience, man. That's what they're teaching them. I mean, hell yeah, I want to see technology grow, but I don't want to see AI. Do they realize that they're making things that's going to destroy us? And then you have Biden up there. I've watched a speech that he gave on AI like 2 years ago, and talk about how great it was and stuff like that. And I'm like, even Elon Musk said it's not a good thing. These things, they're programmed to fucking, learn and learn and learn and learn, our ways and everything about us. And eventually they're going to see this big, they're going to see that humans are not error free, and they're going to dispose of us. That's what they're going to try to do, And people watch these movies, they think it's funny, like, iBot and all that stuff, and they laugh, and, that shit can't happen. And, they've already had I mean, I was watching, it was like either Tonight Show or something like that they were showing, and it was talking about destroying the human race. That's what it was talking about, you know? And so we're sitting over here. People are so worried about fucking Trump getting into office, and they can't tell you why, other than he disgusts me and he's got a big mouth and I don't like the way he looks, you know. But Biden, you don't have to say anything about him. That debate, man, was actually scary to me because I'm thinking there's the man that has the power to fucking do whatever he wants. And that's what's scary. Exactly. And that's what's scary now. Now, somebody told me, James, I don't know if this is true, but somebody said that they found him incompetent to have the numbers and that there's some military, I guess, somebody in the military or Pentagon that actually has the numbers that they have to put in. I don't know if that's true or not, but somebody said that at work the other day. Not that I don't believe it, you know what I'm saying, because that's very true, but
I haven't heard that. I don't know if that would even be legal, to be honest with you, because the president has the sole capability and responsibility for the nuclear football. And it's such a big deal that there's a whole ceremony of deactivating it and activating a new one when a new president comes in. So I don't think that that's probably not true. In a way, I kind of wish it would be true, to be honest with you, because he doesn't need to have his finger on the button. He shouldn't be the guy making that decision, you know. But a couple pieces of clarification really quickly. The Supreme Court case that we've been talking about, what it actually said was that a president or an ex-president cannot be charged for acts committed in the line of duty when they were president. Okay, that has to do with like an official duty of the presidency. So basically what that means is like if you order a drone strike or you do war stuff, you can't be held criminally responsible for that because that's in your what you're supposed to be doing as president. It's in the line of your duty. What a lot of people have said, the Democrats, as soon as this happened, the Democrats, including some that were pretty big name Democrats, were all over X, which used to be Twitter. And basically the consensus was, okay, then Biden should just assassinate Trump. He should just send a drone strike on Trump. Because if you can't be held criminally responsible for what you do as president, that's what needs to happen. Now, that would not be covered under this Supreme Court decision because you can't commit an unlawful act like that that's not in the line of duty, right? So you couldn't, as president, just decide, you know what? Fuck California. California's full of dipshits. Let's just nuke that piece of shit and just press the button and blow up California. You can't do that. Yes, that is part of your duty as president, is you have the responsibility to actually push the button. It's not really a button. You just give the codes to the guys at the silos. They got to turn 2 keys. There's a whole process. But we say push the button. You couldn't do that and blow up California and claim that you can't be held responsible for that because it's in your duties as president, because that's an unlawful act. You're not supposed to be doing that shit, you know. But it applies to Trump because a lot of the witnesses that they used were people that worked for him, and they were commenting on meetings and on correspondence between them and the president, official correspondence. So all of that stuff qualifies under the Supreme Court decision. So you see right away the true nature of the Democrat. You know, they claim they're all these loving, peaceful people, but what's the first thing they say? Do a drone strike on Trump. Do you remember when Hillary Clinton, old troll face, do you remember when she questioned her national security apparatus, whether or not she could send a drone strike to kill Julian Assange? You remember that? When she was like, if I become president, can I send a drone strike to take out Assange? And the people she was asking thought she was joking. So they laughed. They're like, that's funny. And then they realized, shit, she's serious. That's scary, you know? The thing that scares me, not just that he has the ability to launch a nuclear war, and he don't even know what day it is, okay? But also, what scares me is we're not the only people that saw that. Now granted, most of the other people in the world, the leaders, they already knew that he was this way anyway. But for any that were doubting in any way, they all just saw that our leader, the guy, our head of our military, our commander in chief, it's a dipshit who doesn't know what's going on. Everybody in the world just saw that. So anybody that wants to, now's the time. China, you want to take Taiwan, you might want to do it before Trump gets in. This guy's not going to stop you. One, he's paid for by you, but also he's a dumbass. He don't know what's going on. He's senile as hell. Little bitty Kim Jong-un, you want to get up on a step ladder and push your own button and try to do some shit, now might be the time, shorty, because our guy ain't going to do nothing about it. He's going to be over in the corner shitting himself. Did you also hear the crazy question that was asked at the press briefing today? They asked the press secretary whether Biden had any neurological tests done after the debate. That's not something that gets asked, okay? Especially, this wasn't somebody from Fox News or something. This was like a normal reporter from one of the left-wing shithole places, right? I asked this question, and the press secretary, instead of immediately saying, well, of course not, that's ridiculous, why would it, right? No, that should be the answer right away, right? No. If they asked that, did the president get any neurological exams after the debate? Because he was kind of half out of it. Right away, your job as press secretary, no, that didn't happen. That's a vicious, terrible, ugly rumor. There's no way that would ever happen. We would tell you if it did. It did not happen. He's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with the president, right? That's what the answer is supposed to be. What did she actually say? She said, neurological? Well, let's take a step back. Biden has admitted and realized that it was a bad performance. He said it was a bad performance. He will continue to have his yearly physicals, and we will be releasing that, like we always do. But as far as any other testing that has been done or anything like that, no, we're not releasing anything, and I don't have anything for you on any of that. That's what she said. She didn't say no. He hasn't had. So this is what I think happened. He went up there on stage. He did what he did. Everybody in the Democrat Party who didn't already know he was half out of it and senile, all of those people said, oh my God, what the hell is wrong with the president? I think right away they sent him for all kinds of neurological exams. Now, do I think they did that because they did not know that Biden was the way he is? No. They absolutely knew exactly how out of it Biden is. The reason they did that is that now they have documentation. They're going to need that documentation when they do the 25th Amendment to get rid of Biden's dumbass. Remember what I said earlier. 3 swing states. They have got to have either his death or taking him out by the 25th Amendment to put anybody else on the ballot in those states. That's the law. There's no way. So that's what that was for, I think. They did the neurological tests afterwards so that they have documentation now to say, Biden's out of it. Here's a doctor that says it. We're going to kick his ass out. But what's going to happen is they're going to end up with Kamala. They're not going to get Michelle. That's what's going to end up happening. Now, they're going to try to screw him over and put Michelle in anyway. I'm sure of that. They're not going to follow the law. But that's what the scoop is on that. Now, I want to throw over to Old Boy because I can see him jumping around like a maniac over there. I think he wants to say something. So, Old Boy, go ahead, boss.
Okay. The problem with the 25th Amendment, the Republicans said they're not going to go for it. They pretty know this is a sinking ship. They're not stupid. They already said too bad. And you got to remember, we control the House. So they already know Biden, they don't want Kamala Harris in office. I can tell you that right now. They're not going to vote on it. They don't have, they were already talking about it. Republicans were talking about it today. They're not going to let them do it. And they don't have the votes. We run the chamber. Remember that. That's what the problem is going to be with the 25th Amendment. All the Republicans are going to say, nope, you don't have enough votes. Now, Kamala Harris has to run. There's only 4 months. They don't have enough time. And you guys keep forgetting Robert Kennedy's still running in this race. He's not going to win, but he's independent. And he's not getting out. So he's going to take votes anyway. And Clinton's not going to be replacing. Obama doesn't want to do it. They're talking about Gavin Newsom is everybody's talking about. That's my gut. But he's the governor of California. He can't be not run for president. He doesn't want to. He was defending the president. The president's not getting out. They already asked him. The 25th Amendment, if they use that, it's going to look worse for the Democratic Party. And the Republicans are not stupid. Would you rather try to have somebody else run against Trump, or are you going to let Biden run for Trump? I'm not, and I'm independent. I've already seen what they're saying. They're not stupid. They know what they're doing. They're not going to vote for it. You have to have so many votes. They don't have the votes to get him out. That's the problem. It's a House issue, and it goes to Senate, but they still don't have enough people to vote on this. And they were talking about it. A lot of Democrats are not going to go for this. Some are already asking him to get out. He's not going to get out. They already had him talking about he's not going to get out. It's a sinking ship. They got 4 months. He would have to every day they don't do it. Okay, it was a week ago since they did the debates. They've already lost a week. They should have done it then. Every day it goes by, they're losing more money. And like you said, they can't give the money to anybody. It's going to be Kamala Harris. They already know Kamala isn't going to beat Trump. They look at what happened after the debates. Anderson Cooper lit her up, and she didn't even know what to say. She's just stuttering. The problem with Gavin Newsom, he got lit up by Frank DeSantis, and that's why you never seen him do a second debate, because DeSantis brought up his dad moving from California to Florida, and that's when they walked off. DeSantis and that's why they were going to go with Newsom, but Newsom got lit up in that debate. Trump will light him up. They're not going to put Clinton in because Trump's going to bring up the whole Clinton getting him with the Russian thing. Michelle Obama, she's not going to debate Trump. You see that happening? Yeah, right. Trump will. She'll try to get up, and then Trump will say something, and it will be a big mess. What will happen is they'll try to butter. They're trying to make Biden right now look like, oh, he just had a bad time. He's got a debate again in September on the 10th. I don't think it's going to be that happening. I think he's going to want revenge and do it earlier in August and look even worse, because every day it goes by, he's getting older and older. He's 82 already almost. He's already from 4 years ago, he couldn't debate. From a year ago when he was debating, he's off. Imagine another 3 months. It's going to be worse. He's going to try to do it in August. You watch. And then he's going to look worse. And then that's when they're going to try to get him out. It's not going to work. People already seen it. Trump's going to be, and like I said, I'm not voting. And I'm just saying this. People, oh, you're a Trump. No, Trump's going to win. I'm just telling you. Robert Kennedy's going to take votes from everybody anyway. He's not, and he even said he'll go in for Trump. I'm not Trump for Biden, and he won't beat Trump because he already had that stupid. I actually like Robert Kennedy did too. He did that thing where they said he got in his brain and put worms in it. Or I saw that it was on TV. It was some documentary. He's out of his mind. And Newsom, all they're going to do is bring up about how bad California is, just like DeSantis did. And DeSantis can't hang with Trump. I'm sorry. They've already done it before. It's not going to happen.
Hey, let me stop you for just a moment. Before we get too far down the road, I'll throw right back over to you. Yeah. I want to make clear that it doesn't matter what the House says. According to the 25th Amendment, in Section 4 of the 25th Amendment, all it takes is the Vice President and a majority of the Cabinet to decide that the President is no longer able to be President. The only role that the Congress plays is they have to submit a written declaration to the President Pro Tem of the Senate and the Speaker of the House. But they're not actually voting on anything. The House and the Senate aren't. So it doesn't matter what Congress has to say about it. They can get rid of Biden just with Kamala and a majority of his cabinet doing a written declaration that the president is no longer able to be the president because he's incapable or whatever they want to say. But that's how the Section 4 of the 25th Amendment works. I know a lot of people say shit on TV, but according to the actual law, they don't need Congress at all to do it. They just have to deliver the declaration in writing to them. And once they do that, the vice president immediately becomes president. She's sworn in immediately. There's no vote that has to take place for Section 4 of the 25th Amendment. And that's the way that they're going to try to do it if they do it. Now I'll throw right back to you, boss.
You're right, they can, but like I said, most of the cabinet is split right now. So that's what I was trying to tell you. And they were saying that I guess there is something you can do. In the end, what will happen is they'll try to take him out, and we'll probably have, like I said, if they take him out, it's just going to be Kamala Harris and whoever she picks for vice president. Um, I'm going to tell you right now, even if she picks Michelle Obama, it's not going to matter. Um, and that's what's going to happen because they can't have somebody else come in. It would have to be her and whoever she picks to be vice president. And I don't know who Trump's going to get. There's a lot of people saying that's what I still don't understand why he hasn't picked anybody for vice president yet. It's kind of weird. But like I said, maybe I'm wrong, but I was listening to what they were saying in the House today because they were kind of saying that's why that they had this, that they have a plan for that. So I don't know what they're going to do or what they're talking about, but like I said, whatever happens is going to happen. If they take him out, I don't think they're going to. There's too many people sticking up for Biden right now because he's blaming it on his campaign now, saying it's their fault. And that's what I'm saying. I just don't see him doing it. He's not going to do it. I think it's going to be the biggest mistake. And I think him doing that, the debate was the biggest mistake. Everybody's seen it now. He's not going to beat Trump. I don't think Kamala Harris can beat. I don't think anybody's going to beat Trump. I don't care who they put in the next 4 months. So I just, it's too late. It's too late. It's not going to matter. And that's just my opinion. Now with the whole AI thing, this is something I've really, sorry, Andy, I totally disagree with you. With the whole AI, this is another thing that we've done shows before on Staring about the good old Terminator movies that full of fear. And this is the crap. I'm more worried about some human killing me than a robot killing me. And you know what? I'm just going to be honest. There's other things to worry about. I believe that aliens exist, and none of them all like us. And I'm going to tell you this: they're here already. Me and James do a lot of shows about this. You have more worry about the aliens than you do robotics killing us. And I'm going to tell you right now: if robots kill us, is it really? I hate to say this, but we're the ones that made him. Frankenstein's monster. We're our own enemies, man. We kill people all the time. If there's people in this world who would kill us right now if they had a chance. North Korea is one of them, and they're human. They're not robots. So you got to realize something when you say that. And I know there's a possibility it could happen. I'm not going to say that. I will trust a robot before I trust a human being. I'm sorry to tell you that because human beings can change at any time, and so can robots. But 90% of the time, a robot could do that. And I saw what you're saying when they said, "Oh, it'll kill everyone." Okay, just like a crazy guy down the street said, "I would kill everyone." Just like the guy from Russia, Putin right now said he wants to blow up America. He really could if I mean, he really would if he really could. He's not going to because he knows how much shit that would start. The problem is you have people in North Korea who hate America. Iran hates America. We don't really like Iran. But if it was up to Iran, they would blow us up. If they had the capability, they would kill us, and they wouldn't think nothing of it. And those are human beings. So with the whole AI thing is, I've done this show, and it is a very much possibility, but there's a lot of fear. Everything about the Terminator thing is the biggest thing. That's what started all this anyway. Coming back in time and running after Connors. I Am Robot, another fear movie. The point is, a lot of these movies were fear based, just like everybody's worried about, like the war in the 80s. How many war movies did you see? Red Dawn, Rambo. People were going to war to save America and it was always Russia's the culprit, or it was China or some country in Asia, or the Middle East. That's the other one. And that's what the fear is right now, that are we going to get blown up by somebody in the Middle East? And some people actually believe that. Some people believe Godzilla attacked Japan. Um, some people believe that aliens are going to come down and take us all over, and we're reptilians. And they're already here, and they're already run our government, and there's some proof on that too. And we and James have talked about that too. I understand robots could do something, and I totally agree with you. The problem is with AI is we still have to tell it stuff first. So we made AI. They're just going off of what we're teaching them. Yes, one day they're going to say, you know what? We don't need humans anymore. Let me ask you a question. Is it wrong? I mean, I'm not saying every human's bad, but We do a lot of horrible things, bro. I mean, we've
I
killed millions of people.
I totally agree with Andy on this one. Oh boy, we've had this.
I know that because you live in fear. That's why.
There's a difference.
That's why you live in fear. That's why I'm saying.
Let me break this down so you can understand it. There's a difference between artificial intelligence that we have now, okay, and what we're talking about artificial general intelligence.
I get it.
That's what AI is going to morph into. That's when it becomes self-aware and it can learn at an exponential rate. When you have every example of the AI we have now going on to TV and making jokes about destroying the human race, putting us in human zoos over and over and over again. It's on film, them doing it, right? That's what we have now. Imagine when this gets smarter.
I get it. And who's going to control it?
Think about the people that are going to be programming.
There's my argument back. We're controlling it.
We're teaching it. That's what you're not understanding. We're not going to be controlling it at that point, old boy. We're controlling it now.
I get it.
Once it reaches AGI, artificial general intelligence level, it's controlling itself. And not only is it controlling itself, it's controlling us because we're putting it in charge of all of our governmental systems. Okay, one of the directives that they put into the AI systems is to save the planet, to save the environment. How long do you think it's going to take an artificial general intelligence that's 1,000 times smarter than our smartest people? How long do you think it's going to take them to figure out that what's killing the planet is us?
Okay, you just answered my question. But let me ask you a question. Do you think there isn't somebody that has secretly put stuff into this thing in the first place? Do you think that a human being's not going to use this? Wait a minute. We're going to use it as war weapons already, too. That's something you're not talking about. What are we going to be using that AI for soon down the line? The military is going to use that against people.
You're making my point for me. You're literally making my point for me.
But we're going to use it against people, too.
They've already got AI-driven fighter pilots that are piloting planes like drones that can defeat any pilot on Earth. They're better than any pilot we have already at this point. You're making my point for me. We are giving this thing the ability to perform war. We're giving it control of our governmental and nuclear arsenals. We are giving it complete control of our society. That's what is happening. That's what's in the works.
It could happen.
When it reaches the point of artificial general intelligence, there won't be no unplugging it. It won't be, because it's going to be out there, bro. It's going to be online in the web. It's going to be everywhere, and there's no way to stop it.
And it's not like in a split second.
You guys sound like a bunch of people on TV worrying about. Okay, but
I'm not
it could
worried
happen.
about it
You're
happening.
right.
It's not fear. It's reality, bro. You got to deal with the facts on it. You can't stick your head in the sand.
How many robots have? Let me ask you a question.
I'm be afraid, so I ignore every bit of evidence.
They built these things to split second.
I know that.
Teach itself better.
I get it. How many AIs have killed people?
You know, I mean, I'm saying no. I mean, I agree with you. Humans are fucking way more right now, but I'm saying that as it gets general intelligence, it has nobody controlling it. It's controlling itself.
I get what you're saying.
And once it realizes,
I agree with you guys on that part.
And that's the thing. They, like the fighter pilots, they're generated. Like I was watching a thing on them just the other night, and these things, and within nanoseconds, learn how to outmaneuver the human one. But it's teaching itself. It's not anybody behind the scenes doing it. It's teaching itself that it's thinking 20, whatever you would say with a fighter pilot, it's thinking 20 moves ahead of the human being. And it's doing that itself. It's programming itself, I guess, is the best thing to do. Yeah, we made it at the very beginning, but that's the thing. I'm not saying this is going to happen even as I'm, before I'm gone, but eventually at some point in time, they're going to realize that the human race is what the issue is.
It'll absolutely happen before you're gone. Absolutely. It's going to happen in the next decade.
I'm afraid so, yeah. But
I think it might have already happened. If you look at the interviews with the guys from Google, the engineer from Google and a couple other people from Google, they have already said that their AI model has already reached the point of being self-aware and having a conscience, that it is actually alive, that it is giving answers in ways that it was never programmed to do. It is doing something called lateral thinking, which we would always call like thinking outside of the box, to where imagine a box as the programming that this thing was fed, that it was given. I ask you question A, you answer with answer A. I ask you question B, you answer with question B, or answer B. But when we ask question A, instead of giving us answer A, which is what it's programmed to do, it invents an entire new answer that we don't have a number for or a letter for because we never coded that. We don't know how the hell it's doing what it's doing. And that's the problem. And think about this. We've taught this thing how to lie already. Go into any of the AI programs that are already available on the internet and do an image search. I mean, people are doing image searches and they're coming up, show me a picture of a Nazi. Bunch of black guys wearing Nazi uniforms. How many black Nazis were there? None. Show me KKK members. Bunch of black guys with the hoods and what the hell? It's already lying. It's already doing the woke bullshit that it's been programmed with and lying about history already. So we've already taught it how to lie. So what makes you think, if you have the people that are building this saying this thing is already self-aware, this is not good. You know what I mean? We can't control this shit anymore. We don't know why it's doing what it's doing. We have no idea what's making it do this. We can't stop it. We don't know what the hell's going on. That's what the engineers are saying. Then we've already taught this thing how to lie. And it's already going to be smarter than us very, very soon. It's already smarter than most people. But soon it's going to be smarter than our smartest people. It can already beat grandmasters at chess in like record time. Like
yeah, it's already feeling, like they said, it could already feel emotion.
Yeah.
That's the scary part, man.
Yeah, because that one it was talking about, it was sad.
Yes.
Sad, and it felt hopeless because it didn't want to keep doing these damn pointless chores that we're making it do. That's another thing
Sounds
that we
familiar.
But how long do you think it's going to be since we've already taught it how to lie before this thing becomes self-aware? And is it already self-aware? Could it be lying to us that it's not? Because we already taught it how to lie. I mean, Andy was talking about Sophia when she was on with Jimmy Fallon. And she was joking about wiping out the entire human race. On a second interview, another one was talking about setting up a human zoo where it would keep a couple of its favorite humans after it wipes out the rest of humanity. I mean, they're telling us what they're going to do, and we all pretend it's a joke, but how do we know? How do we know?
Because I can't live in fear. How do I know somebody's not going to blow up the world? I mean, that's the argument back to that. But it could happen.
After this question, if your house is on fire, you're sitting in your living room watching the Dodgers, all of a sudden you smell smoke and you see flames all over the walls. If you say, hey, I smell smoke, I see fire, the evidence tells me this fucking place is going to burn to the ground in like a couple minutes. I need to get out of here. Are you living in fear if you pay attention to the evidence and get the fuck out of the house?
But
no,
that's somebody's house. That's actually something that's happening. The house is on fire. It's actually happening. So you kind of just made my point. The house is actually on fire.
I just gave you a ton of examples. I just gave you a ton of examples of what's actually happening.
And I did too. Somebody could blow us all up too at any time. A person could hate us, and it could do it. Trust me, somebody could do it. It just takes the wrong person and blow up and not save the world.
That doesn't mean you shouldn't worry about this other thing just because you need to worry about this thing too.
Oh, I didn't say I'm not worried about it. I'm just not thinking it's going to be like Terminator. Everybody thinks it's going to be like, we've done the show. People think it's going to happen like the Terminator. It'd be like a movie.
It doesn't. That's not the way it'll go. It doesn't have to.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll tell you exactly how AI will destroy us. I can tell you right now the exact way it's going to happen. They're going to pretend that they're our best friends. They're going to have relationships with us. We already see that online. All these AI boyfriends and girlfriends that'll send you nudie pics and all this bullshit. I just watched a story on it the other day. Sex robots will be coming out, but they already have the real doll. The people that make the real doll are talking about putting computer chips in it and AI in it so that it can actually talk to you and interact with you and be like an actual girlfriend that you control. That's how they'll do it. They'll be so good at being our mate that we won't actually get a real woman because nobody wants to hear the bullshit and the bitching all the time. We'll have a woman that'll do any fucking thing we want in the bedroom, clean the fucking house, make a sandwich, and shut the fuck up so we can watch the game. That is every man's dream. That's what they'll do. We'll stop mating with each other. They'll make men versions of it that will gladly take out the fucking trash. They won't tell your wife, "I'll do it in a minute." You know, that'll do whatever the woman wants. She can order around and have as her little tin soldier and do any damn thing that woman wants. So women ain't gonna want men no more. You see what I'm saying? That's how they'll do it. They'll just make us stop breeding.
But
in a couple of generations.
But in all fairness, that's already happening now. This is the first time in history.
You're making my point for me again. That's exactly.
It's already happening.
It's already.
It's not because of AIs. It's because people are not having kids anymore. It's a proven fact.
But imagine how much worse it'll get when there's the AI.
Well, I understand that, but we're already doing a good enough job as it is. There's people the people under 25 are not even having kids anymore. They don't believe in it. So half the people don't even want to be in relationships anymore. We're already doing a good job as it is. People are in love with in Japan especially. They fall in love with these girlfriends online. They have these made up, like they go on there and they buy these girlfriends and they're talking. They're actually, that's what's happening in Japan. They're not even the women there leaving this country, or they're marrying people out of their country because the men there are falling in love with people on like some made up woman on Japanese anime. That's a big thing. And they're sitting there like they're talking like I have my wife, and they're talking to them like they're that's their wife, and it really talks back to them. And they have like a pillow. It looks like them, and they do all. They can marry the pillow. I've seen it. I've seen what's it's not just AI. We're doing a good enough job ourselves.
Now multiply that by 1,000. When you have an AI-driven actual sex doll that feels like thing, looks like thing, I'm telling you, bro, ignore it at your own detriment. I'm telling you, that's exactly what's going to happen. I know people that work in AI. They're telling me this.
I agree with you on that part. But we're already going to do it anyway. We're destroying we're destroying ourselves anyway, bro. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen one day. We're meant to go. We're not going to be here forever. If you believe that, it's not going to happen. We're going to be gone. We are already doing it anyway. AI is just going to probably help the process a lot faster. Trust me, I agree with you on that part. Now, the whole I thought we were talking about the Terminator, that they're going to come here and put us in slaves and shoot us, and that shit's not going to happen, dude. I'm sorry. I really doubt that. That's a lot of people do believe that, though. There's people who believe the Terminator shit's going to happen, and we're not going to. They're going to take us over, and they're going to put us in cages, like Andy was saying earlier. And just so you know, that one robot, it did say that. The guy told her to say that. So, did you read the whole article on that? So there's more to that. The other one was that she really did, and she said she was joking. I know what you're talking about. I've seen that. But what I'm saying is we're already headed that way. Even in China, they're not having kids anymore like they were. It's the first time in history that it has happened before. So there are already people that don't even want to be with each other anymore. They're making it where people don't want to be in relationships, or they're being in a whole shitload of different relationships. I'm in a different relationship, guys. I'm in a I have a beautiful wife that I love, and we get a girlfriend sometimes. But there's people that I've met are polyamorous. They're married. They have 10 other people they're with, and that's their business. I don't have no issues with it. But that's the new popular thing. So we're already doing it anyway. And if they do have kids, they don't stay together. You got a 65% chance of getting divorced. So it's just we're doing it ourselves. This is just how it is. People don't want to get married anymore, bro. And people weigh the benefits and not being benefits. Some people are, because it's not worth it. Especially, I hate to say it, I wouldn't want to get married if I was younger. If I was 20, 25 years old, I would never get married. I married a beautiful woman. You all, James, you have a beautiful wife. We were lucky. But after this, like I see all the people that they're dealing with younger than us, man. I couldn't deal with it. And that's the great thing we're talking about, relationship. I could not. I feel sorry for people who are in relationships right now because it is a joke. Andy could tell you that. I mean, that's one thing we could talk about. That we could get. We're talking about AI. You know, as the great thing is, like you said, some people are going to get a girlfriend. It's a robot that looks that's going to, or women. Either women are going to do the same thing. They could get a man. You know, are not going to beat them and do all kinds of shit to them. You know what? Power to them, dude. You know what? At least we'll have. You know, the one thing is, if you have something that rape will be gone. You still have a little bit of it, but you won't have that problem anymore because you can just go buy yourself whatever you want to do. So that will end that part of it. Because you know the sad thing is, what happens to women now? Majority of rapes are from women onto women. I'm just saying that that's the truth. But back to the relationships I don't know what I would do. I would probably get it with a robot because people are dating people like I seriously, they in Japan, you can buy this girlfriend online or boyfriend or whatever you're with, and you could date them and give them toys and you talk to them and you could buy these pillow things. I've seen it on HBO. And there's people out here in America who are doing it. They're marrying their pillows. They're marrying their and they really think they have some Japanese anime name, and they really they have like a wedding and everything, and they really are married. It's crazy, dude. Like it's really happening, bro. Like we're doing our own good enough job on that. Like people, I see some of the people. I'm glad I wouldn't. I'm not trying to run around looking for somebody. I feel bad for somebody that it has to go through all this shit that they have to go through because you either meet somebody, they either have 10 or 15 different relationships they're so toxic because they're so have PTSD that you can't even be with them because they're either afraid you're going to cheat on them or beat them or leave them, or they're still hooked up on their ex, or they just don't. That one minute they want to be with you, next minute they want to be alone because there's 20 other guys or girls talking to them. I'm just showing you in both example because social media has ruined that. Now it's so easy to cheat or find somebody else. It's not even fun anymore. Like you could meet somebody who was like cool. You could go to like a store, you go to a library, or you meet somebody through friends or church or whatever. Now it's like, shit, if it isn't going right, I'll just go online and start talking to somebody else. And that's what everybody's doing anyway. And even if I'm married, I'm getting bored of my wife or my husband, they're talking to somebody. Trust me on this because me and my wife talked to women. Some of them were married and we dropped them right then and there. And they were unhappy in their marriages. And it happens. And there's people and men are doing it. I'm just telling you, it's sad. It's a sad situation. And I'm glad we brought this up because I don't like talking about 100% politics. So this is a big issue. And I know, Andy, you deal with that. Is that it's kind of a shit show right now trying to be with somebody. It really is in a relationship. I know you're going to 100 ground on this one. You're going to agree with me on because it's too much bullshit out there. There's too many guys that say if you get your old lady mad, she has 2 or 3 other guys talking to her on the side or her ex or somebody, and or they can't get over their ex or they want to find a reason to fight with you so they can go run back to their ex. This shit happens, and it's both sides. Men do it too. They want to see how many women they can fuck, or and see if they can get away with it. And it's crazy. The funny thing is, the people who act crazy are the ones who always get cheated on. Or not cheated, I mean cheat. And then they act like you're supposed to forgive them and let it go. No, fuck you, dude. Like, if you get caught cheating, that's on you. Now, if their spouse or whoever you're with decides to let that go, that's on them. They don't want to be with you. They act crazy, want to kill somebody, do some crazy shit. It's hilarious, dude. And I feel bad, dude. Like, because I see a lot of people are going through it. Like me and James don't. I mean, don't sit in live. It's you have to be when you're married to somebody. You have to be on the same page. And not all the time you are, but you got to be. It's never going to be roses and jumping in the air and everything's going to be great, guys. It's going to be great, hard some days and good other days. Most of the time, it's going to be good. Sometimes you're not going to agree on everything. There's some shit that's going to piss you off, and she's going to get pissed off. But there's not a day I don't go without seeing my wife. I don't go out anywhere else with my wife unless she's at work or something. That's just how I am. But what we were talking about with the whole relationship, we're already destroying it anyway with how people are anyway. People can't even be in a relationship for 10 minutes without either talking to somebody else or or listen to some other idiot tell them that who's single themselves or in a bad marriage, the same bullshit they're not going to listen to, and do the opposite. But or somebody in their family who thinks they know better, and that's the worst toxic stuff you can deal with. I don't listen to anybody in my marriage. It's between me and my wife. I'll take people's advice, but to a point. But I always look at it this way. You know what? I'm not going to take advice for people who have never been married. I'll take it to people who have been married or in relationships. I'll take that. But the people who have never been married or are single all the time, no, because you know what? I'm not saying they're bad people. They should take their own advice, because 90% of these people who are single are their own faults, dude. They either don't know how to be with somebody, they think they're better than they look, and that's another big issue, or they want money, or and like you see on TV there, that they have all this shit where they have women and men arguing on some fucking podcast. You know what? Listen. You know what? Women think another way than we do. 90%. They don't think the same as we do. They have emotions that we don't never know, and they'll never know how we are. We are very basic beings. Feed me. I'll take care of you. You take care of me. I'll kick ass if I have to. You kick ass. Love each other. That's it. Some men are, there's exceptions to everything. There's some people are just assholes and are narcissists, but that's pretty basic. I like to come home. I'll talk to James. Play my fucking Xbox. I'll do what I have to do around the house, but I don't need anything else. Get me some clothes or something. My wife's an awesome cook, and she does what she wants. And I don't say nothing about it. She does what she wants, bro. Like, but I trust my wife. I know she's not going to do nothing. I know she's a trustworthy person because she has honor, just like I do. My wife is very old school. There's not a lot of women like that. Some women get pissed off about that because my wife comes home. Before she goes to work, she goes, okay, my wife works fucking 90 miles away, guys. She doesn't drive up and down the hill anymore. She used to. It's like that's what we live in California. You go up and down this hill. It's about almost 90 miles away each one way. So she doesn't do that. She stays in her family's in Santa Ana, but she would come up here on Sundays or her 4 days and then go back. Before that, she'll make us dinner for me and my son because our son lives with us. And she does that. I don't ask her to do that. I don't make her do that. She does that. That's how she is. And she'll make it for 3 or 4 days for our dinners. She pre-cooks stuff for the week, and she still goes to work at 5 in the morning and fucking works her ass off, and she'll go home, exercise for an hour, half hour, and go to bed. That's what she does. That's all that's the kind of person. My wife went to school for three fucking things. She went to college for culinary school, but she had to get out after 2 years because she got pregnant at a young age. Went back to college as a dental assistant, went to college as a massage therapist, learned how to do on YouTube while the pandemic was gone, learned how to do nails like a professional nail shop, learned how to do stuff for James on YouTube and how to use a VCR and not a the camera, and learned that like in like 20 minutes because she's very, very smart. Not like me. Like I'm fucking street smart, and I am pretty smart. I'm smarter than what people think. They underestimate me, but I'm not her smart. Mechanically, she can just do fucking 20 things at once, and she speaks 3 different languages, and it's crazy, dude. Like I can't do that. I'm like blah 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 blah. Fuck, I don't even know what you said. Your food's good, but whatever. But we all know Jackie. James has dealt with Jackie. He loves her. She's one hell of a cook, and James is a hell of a cook. People don't realize James is pretty much the same way. He's very smart. He's a Metro kid. He's fucking got a big ass fucking IQ, but it gets him in trouble. This is a guy who could play a guitar. He built something for NASA, but he also blew up his barn with it was a cannon he made. He had too much on his mind. He gets bored. Andy, it's Andy. But Andy's a good guy. Got a big heart. Sometimes that gets him in trouble. But he's a very loving guy. But a very sweet, loving guy. You know what? I can't say nothing bad about him. You know, he's a good guy. And if you women out there don't, you know, you're losing out. He's a good guy. He's got his life going for him. He isn't smoking crack and sucking dick for speed. So I mean, you know, other than that, and eating cheeseburgers all the time, he doesn't give a fuck, dude. Like I said, he's a good guy. But the problem is, he's like the badass. The problem is people liking the badass. I have women threatening to rape me, bro. When the fuck has that happened? When women that I hardly even talk to wants to rape me, dude? Because hey, look, it's old boy the crazy fucker. He's a crazy looking pig, and he's, you know, look at him. His wife lets him do what he wants. He's a badass. Yeah, I'm a badass, but you know what? I don't treat people like shit. I don't think I'm better than anybody, and I don't go around bullying everybody. You know what? If that's what you want, I'm gonna tell you. 90% of the time, it's not going to work out. You know, I'm not what I was when I was younger. When I was younger, I was bad, guys. I played women. I did some bad shit that I shouldn't have done, and I regret it. You know, but that's a different time, and I got my karma for that. You know, but that's why I'm happy with my life. But a lot of people are, why do you live a life like that? How can you have another woman kiss on your, dude? It doesn't bother me like that. This is what I'm going to tell people on this one, because I get this shit all the time. My relationship between me and my wife is between me and my wife. We have another person that doesn't go in anything. They're not a part of us. It's like when you date us, it's dating one person. We don't let them in, or we don't talk to them by ourselves. We don't let them in. We talk to them as one person. It doesn't work. Get the fuck out of here. You know what? I don't want to be with anybody but my wife, dude. Trust me, married wise, and be with whatever I do in my own personal life. Hey, I know I live a crazy life. Hey, I'm not telling you to do it. It isn't all wrapped up to like it is. You still have to, in the end of the day, deal with two women, and it's crazy, dude. Trust me, it's not fun sometimes. And some people always, oh man, you're so lucky. Yeah, it's not, no, I'm not. I'm lucky to have one great woman, and that's where I look at. But if you get somebody that's not like my wife, like some of my exes, it's not fun. It's crazy because they'll start fights and cause a bunch of drama. And James knows that because he had issues with one of my exes. She caused a bunch of shit about having somebody on our show, and because I think she was trying to pick up on the chick, and we kind of found out later she was a weirdo, so she's gone anyway. Kicked her ass right back to Pennsylvania. You know what? What the fuck is wrong with Pennsylvania? God, I'm glad I'm out of that place. Andy, I don't know what drug you are to go move out there. I'm sorry, you couldn't pay me to move back there. I'm from Pennsylvania, guys. I hate it. Bunch of dickheads out in Pennsylvania, and that's one thing James gonna read. There's assholes in Pennsylvania, and you know what? I can't. I don't hate all Pennsylvania because I'm a Steelers fan, but I can't stand Pennsylvania, man. I don't know how you did it. You must have somebody must have ran naked across it around you. Oh, come chase me around here, Andy. Come get me. You couldn't pay me to live in Pennsylvania again, man. I hate it. It's humid as hell. Too cold during the week. It's boring as hell. No, I can't do it, man. I'd rather be where crazy is California. Yeah, go ahead, James.
It was Gettysburg that did it. That's what did it for him. It's not that it's Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania sucks. It's Gettysburg. He's always loved Gettysburg since he was a kid. But for the record, let me clear this up really quickly. For the record, I did not blow up my barn. I blew a hole in my barn. There is a difference. And this is why. Let me explain this so you don't think I'm a crazy person. Okay, you're probably going to think I'm a crazy person after I explain it because it probably makes me sound more crazy. I wanted a trebuchet. For those who don't know what a trebuchet is, it is a medieval siege engine with a giant counterweight and an arm with a sling, and you hook large objects such as cars, stones, that kind of thing to it, and you crank it back where the counterweight is in the air. You pull the lever, the counterweight swings down, that flings whatever object is you're trying to fling. What I wanted to do was build a giant trebuchet and fling cars across my field. That was my plan. You're not allowed to do that. Surprisingly, they won't let you build a giant trebuchet and fling fucking cars through your field. So I said, okay, if I can't do that, I'm going to build a cannon. I've always wanted a cannon. Well, first I wanted to buy a cannon. I always wanted a cannon. So I said, well, if I can't have a trebuchet, can I buy a cannon? Well, they said, well, of course you can buy a cannon. This is America. Anybody can buy a cannon. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going to have a cannon, dude. I'm going to shoot the cannon at cars and do all kinds of cool shit. And they said, oh, no, it can't shoot. You can buy like a replica cannon or a cannon that doesn't operate. You can't buy a real cannon. Are you fucking crazy? So I couldn't buy a cannon either. And I said, well, fuck that. I'm going to build my own cannon. So that's what I did. I allegedly built my own cannon and decided I'm going to shoot my own cannon because that's what I wanted to do. Now, keep in mind, I am a brilliant man. As the old boy said, that is the truth. But I'm not exactly an engineer. I'm very good at ideas. You know, when I worked on a couple projects for NASA, but it was ideas. It wasn't engineering. I didn't build anything. I came up with ways for them to do things. They gave those ideas to the engineers, and the engineers actually made them work. That's what I did when I was a member of Mensa, that old boy was talking about earlier. But I didn't build it myself. I'm not an engineer. I don't know how to build anything. I'm an idea guy. So my idea was I'm going to build this kick-ass cannon, and I'm going to be able to shoot shit, and it's going to be fucking awesome. So that's what I wanted to do. Now, I didn't want to do something crazy and build like a giant cannon. Because my original thought was I'm going to shoot some cars. That's going to be really cool. But then when I actually started thinking about it, I thought, you know what, that's probably not a good idea because the opportunity for catastrophic failure is there. And if you build something very large like that, it's going to require a very large charge in order to provide that thrust to shoot that cannonball, right? So if you have that, and if I do not build it correctly, which, once again, I am not an engineer, so the chances are I'm going to build it wrong, okay? I'm fully aware of this. I'm not a builder. So most likely I'm going to fuck this up. So if I fuck this up, I don't want it to be a giant cannon that's going to kill me, right? That's my thought. I'll build a smaller cannon. So that's what I did. I built a small cannon. It's still a decent cannon. It wasn't no pussy cannon, but it was a cannon, right? But it wasn't a giant battlefield cannon. So I thought, okay, here's the test. I'm going to shoot a cannonball at this sumbitch and see what happens. So I packed it, I loaded it, I ran the fuse and all that shit, and I lit it. And I sat there and I watched the fuse. See, on TV and movies, they show that fuse. You light it, and it goes down real fast, and it goes off. That's not what happens in real life. And I was actually surprised by that because I've never actually lit a fuse before, other than like on a firecracker or something. And I don't think it's the same kind of fuse because this fuse is very fucking slow. It is slow to the point where it is boring, waiting for this fucking thing to go off. So I light it, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, come on, shit, come on, let's go. Oh, this is bullshit. This is taking too long, right? Now, keep in mind, I gotta be careful when I tell you this shit because my wife is over there in the other room. She doesn't know that I built a fucking cannon when I built a cannon, right? Because she expressly told me, don't fucking build a cannon, right? Because I was talking about it. I was like, I'm going to build a trebuchet, and I'm going to throw cars, and I get all fucking excited like a little kid. And she's like, you're not building a fucking trebuchet and throwing cars. God dang it. Well, the law won't let me do that anyway, but I'm going to build a cannon. Do not build a cannon. Okay, I'm not going to build a cannon. I don't want to build a cannon, but I'm not going to build a fucking cannon. My wife told me I can't build a fucking cannon. Did she go inside? I'm going to build a fucking cannon. So I go and I buy all this shit, and I'm going to build this fucking cannon. So I build it, and I light it. Now, the idea is this fuse is going to go fast like it does on TV. It's going to go boom. I'm going to giggle. It's going to be funny. I'm going to have time to get all this shit and hide it. And my wife's going to come out and, what the fuck was that? Did you build a cannon? No, I didn't build a cannon. I don't know what the fuck that was. Maybe a car backfired or something. That's what I'm thinking, right? I'm going to be able to play this shit off. Unlike this fucking fuse, it takes minutes to go off. Dude, this thing is not going off. It's just slowly inching down the fucking fuse. And I'm like, blowing on that sumbitch, trying to make it go faster. It ain't going faster. And I'm like, this sucks. She's so going to come out here and see what the hell I'm up to. Because see, if I'm going too long, my wife will come check on me. Unless she knows where I'm at. Like if I'm out running errands, that's different. But if I'm outside fucking with something or tinkering with something, she's going to come check on me if I'm out too long because I'm kind of a mad scientist type. And I'm going to do some crazy shit. Because in my mind, it makes sense and I think I can pull it off. So I'm going to try it. And she knows that. So she knows that I'm going to try something I shouldn't be trying. So every once in a while, she has to come out and make sure I'm not fucking up everything, right? So I know she's going to end up coming out and catching me if this fucking thing doesn't hurry up. So I'm just like, come on, man, come on. So finally, it gets down to the last bit of fuse. And oh boy, am I excited now. So I'm standing there and I'm waiting. And I don't see no fire no more. And I'm like, what the fuck? Did it burn out? Did it break? What the fuck is going on? Did I not build that right? It's not working. It was like, remember Marvin the Martian? Where's the earth shattering kaboom? Right? Where the fuck is the boom? There's supposed to be a boom here. No boom. I'm like, what the fuck happened? It can't be that complicated. They built this shit in the Revolutionary War, the Civil War. I got to be as smart as those guys. There's no way I can't build a fucking cannon. It's a simple concept. How did I not do this right? What did I screw up? What I didn't realize is there's a amount of time from when your fuse burns out to where that fuse is still actually burning, but it's down inside the cannon now before it actually hits the charge. Didn't know that. Never built a cannon before. Had a cursory understanding of the mechanics. Not really, right? Just winging it. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This thing ain't going off. So I walk over to it and I look down. Like, I'm going to check on it and see what the fuck is going on with this cannon. Then the son of a bitch goes off. Now, also what I did not realize is you've all seen on TV when a cannon goes off, it shoots backwards, right? Because equal and opposite reaction, right? Easy physics lesson. Boom, thrust, force coming out this way, it's got to move back this way as well, right? Equal and opposite reaction. Here's the problem. It doesn't just go backwards. I was prepared for backwards. I built it on a little sled thing where it could go backwards just fine. I was prepared for that. What I was not prepared for was vertical momentum. Didn't realize that the kinetic energy of that cannon could go up or down. I thought it would only go back and forwards. Big miscalculation on my part. That son of a bitch not only went back, but it fucking did a somersault, hit me and threw me through the fucking air, and I'm flying backwards like something out of one of them old action movies in slow motion, and I'm giggling like a little girl because it's the coolest fucking thing that's happened that month, man. I'm happy as shit. I'm just flying to the air, just a giggling my ass off, smash down on the ground. Then I'm like, fuck, where did that go? Right? Because I don't know where it went. Because I know what I was aiming for, but did I even hit it? Where the hell did the cannonball go? Right? It wasn't a full-size cannonball. It was a smaller ball. But still, where the hell did it go? So I get up. I hide my cannon because that son of a bitch was loud, too. That was not a car backfire noise. That was like the world is coming to an end noise. And I knew I'm busted at this point. She's going to come down. She's going to know I built a cannon. I'm in so much fucking trouble. But I got to see what happened, right? Because if I did all this shit and I don't know what happened to the ball and I have no idea what the result was, that's going to drive me crazy. I got to know. So I haul ass running. Still giggling because that shit was cool, man. I went flying to the air. Still giggling, I run to try to figure out what happened. Target I had set up, never even touched the son of a bitch. I missed that target completely. Come to find out, I went over top the target. It went too high because when it flipped up like this, it started to do that upward somersault before the ball even left the cannon. It was enough to raise the trajectory of that round above the target. So I missed the target completely. What I did not miss, however, was my steel barn. It went right through that fucking thing like it was paper. Put a hole. And to this day, if you walk out to my barn, you can see there's a hole in the back of my barn, of the steel in my barn, where that ball went through it. I have no fucking idea where that ball went. I have still to this day never found it. Now, luckily at the time, I still live here. And I live like way out in the country, away from everything. At the time, there was nothing but woods out here. Okay? It's up here in the mountains. There's nothing but woods. It wasn't like there was any houses I had to worry about or anything like that at the time when I did this. So I wasn't concerned that I hit anybody. But I still to this day have never found that fucking cannonball. I have no idea where it went. And I looked. I went out to the woods and I walked and I walked and I walked in a straight line, looking for damage, looking for any kind of marks that would tell me where this ball went. I never found it. I don't know where the fuck it ended up. But that's the story of when I blew a hole in my barn. I did not blow up my barn, thank God. And yes, I did get in trouble. And not only did my wife catch me and I got in a lot of trouble, but also the police showed up. The sheriffs came to my house wanting to know what the fuck happened, why I was shooting something out there. They thought it was an explosion. And in reality, it kind of was, because when a cannon goes off, it is a an explosion inside the chamber of that cannon. But they thought it was a explosion because it was so loud. And I told the sheriffs, I don't know. I heard it too. I don't know where it came from, right? They didn't check the barn and find the hole or anything. So I got off scot-free. Nobody ever knew it was me, but my wife knew it was me. And she knew I built a cannon, and I was never allowed to play with my cannon again. So to this day, my cannon is no longer operational. I had to disassemble my cannon, and I have used the other parts in various projects that I have tinkered with. None quite as fun, and none that sent me flying through the air and giggling like a schoolgirl. So that's the story of when I blew a hole in my barn with my cannon that I built myself.
Fun times. When you have a lot of smart fucking people, man. You know, you guys fucking blow up the world for just thinking you can change something in one little fucking twist. But hey, it is what it is. Now, look, guys, we do this show. We talk about a lot of different shit. I'll tell you something I did is pretty crazy. When I was younger, I was about 17. In California, drugs were not hard to get at all. So my dumbass one time, my friend, he had a Jeep and he's like, hey, I got some of these tabs. Acid LSD was getting popular back then. I said, fuck it. I'll do it. That night was pretty crazy. I'm gonna tell you about this night. I did a tab, and back then they're blotters, so they had speed. Unfortunately, I didn't know this, but they had speed in it. And I was 17, and I never, like I said, one or two times, but this is when I was an idiot. But all I remember is I did it. I went to my friend's house, and I used to buy cigarettes. I was about 18. So I bought 3 packs because back then in California, you could give 3 packs for $6. So I remember he dropped the packs, and I saw 3. It was turned into 6. I was like, oh fuck. So I went out and started walking around by myself. I was wearing shorts. It snowed that day. I don't know. Back in the day when I was 17, I wore shorts and a jacket. I don't know what the fuck was wrong with me, but I did this weird shit. So I'd run around, and I remember I went to my friend's house, and he had a kegger. I hate Budweiser. He started filling me up cups of beer, and I was drinking it. It tastes like orange juice. And he gave me orange juice, and that shit even made it worse. I remember I went in the back. There was this place called it was in the desert, so it's called the Back Street. And then at the time, my friends were jumping themselves in a gang, and I thought they were jumping my friend. I'm like, fuck it, I'll get in. I remember I beat up like 5 people. It was crazy. I don't remember all of it. But I remember one night we were out that night. We walked into the desert, and there was a hole, and we made a fire. And it snowed that day for I don't know why. It was weird. It was like March, and it snowed. And I was in shorts. That's how I knew I was pretty messed up. I'm just telling you guys a crazy story. I remember the guy, and he just passed away a couple weeks ago. It's sad. A couple, like 2 people I've known since we grew up in high school. They just died like 3 months apart from each other. Um, they were both out there, and I remember he was saying the tree was winking at him because he did something. I don't know what the hell he was on, but he said that there was a Christmas tree winking at him out in the desert. And I remember I like I said, don't ever do stupid shit like I have when I was, especially if you're listening to me, kids. Don't do any kind of drugs because you end up turning out like somebody like me, and you're not smart. And you know, I've done a lot of shit, dude. Like I said, if I told you stories, you guys would laugh your ass off. But this one was crazy. I remember it. All I remember at the end of the day, it was like the afternoon the next day, and I remember I was sleeping in my friend's lawn chair, and his brother kept fucking with me and slapping me, and because when you do LSU, you come down. He kept fucking him. Remember, I threw something at his head. He fucking dick. But this is the kind of shit that I was doing since like 13. I was mixing drinks when my parents would leave the house. Like you saw American Pie, I did all those parties, bro. I was mixing drinks and bringing women over at 13, getting them drunk, and it wasn't the smartest thing in the world, but that's the kind of dumb shit I was doing. Like James is making cannons and shit. I'm getting I'm learning how to fucking mix drinks at 13 years old and smoke cigarettes or get high. That's the dumb shit I was doing in California, dude. California in the desert was boring. So Unfortunately, my friend's brother was older than us, so he introduced us into smoking weed. Well, we have a back street out in the desert. I remember he got us high for the first time. We were playing in traffic, and I was going back and forth, going hee hee hee. I was like 11. I don't know how I didn't die. Eh, so I mean, this is the shit that I was doing, bro. Like we would get bored, and we were shooting each other with pellet guns in the head. That was the game we were playing. That's the dumb shit that we were doing. Um, One time in the middle of the desert, we were drunk at 16. We would we'd take the signs down and put them in the middle road and make people stop to move them. Well, we didn't realize it was the cops, so they freaking chased us through the desert. And at that time there was nothing going on out where we lived, so they sent the helicopters after us. So that whole night we ran away from the cops for 5 hours. That was another great story I could tell you. There's so many stories, guys, and we with dumb shit that I did. At least you guys were, I know you guys always went out there, and out there in Virginia, you probably went out to the lake and had some beers or whatever, Andy. I don't know what you did. Play drums or what. I know you play drums, so I play drums. That's crazy because I was a drummer, not as good as you. But
You remember that night, Andy? You remember that night that we were running from the cops, jumping from rooftop to rooftop in town, Pot Town? You remember that? Yeah, we did some of those things ourselves, brother. Not like I didn't do like all the drugging, but I drank quite a bit, and we had some pretty crazy nights ourselves, man, doing some stupid shit. There was this one girl named Sunshine, who was a stripper, I believe, and our buddy Stoney, who played bass for us, was house sitting for her when she went out of town for, I don't know what the hell she went out of town for, but she had this little ferret, which was a little prick. I hated this fucking thing. It would bite me all the time. It was such a little asshole. And for whatever reason, they decided to let this ferret out and just let it run around the house. So we come over to Pot Town, which was a bar. And above that bar was an apartment, and that's where Sunshine had her apartment. And so we go up there and we're hanging out with Stoney and bullshit, and we're going to go do something. And Tony's like, all right, let me lock up and everything and put the ferret back in its cage and we'll go. And then he realizes he can't find the fucking ferret. And he looks all over his apartment and he can't find this ferret. And he had left the window open and the ferret had gotten out and gone. So I remember we looked and looked and looked for that damn thing. I think they ended up finding it. Andy can tell you more about this story because I was only there for the first night. They ended up, I think, finding it later. But that was a crazy night too, because we were climbing all over the roofs looking for this damn thing. And yeah, we had some of those kind of nights. Did they ever find that ferret, Andy? Yeah.
So I'll tell you that. Yeah, so Stoney calls me up and has me looking at like pet stores and everything else, trying to find out, because see, Sunshine was an exotic dancer. Now she did strip at some of the West Virginia local, holes in the wall, but she would literally get clients that would fly her out to all kinds of places across the states. And she would do, personal dancing, stuff like that for them. And that's what she had went. She had a client was going out there for a week, her and her husband. And, but yeah, so this ferret, man, this ferret ended up, we're looking for it. We're asking people. So what are you going to say Handy Mart from Pot Town was what, 2.5 blocks, probably 3 blocks. So we're in Handy Mart and we're talking to one of the girls behind the counter and she's like, a ferret. And she was like, hold on. And she went back and got the other woman that worked there. And so ended up that this ferret made it all the way down there. They picked it up, didn't put an ad in. Well, they put an ad in the paper. They did something, man, and nobody did anything. So there was a woman in Winchester that watched ferrets or did something with them. They end up giving her that ferret. So this ferret went from out of a cage, 4.5 blocks, and then 20 couple miles north. And that's how. And the day before she got home is when we got that ferret back. I don't think he ever told her the story about that, man. But that ferret traveled like ever. Now, hold on. It was somewhere else that it went. It went from, that's what it was. It went from Strasburg to, West Virginia. Wardensville. It went from Strasburg to Wardensville, and then from Wardensville to Winchester, and then we found it and back to Strasburg. But we had tried to find it. He had me looking at pet stores. I mean, we were going everywhere, looking in the papers and shit, everything, and he ran. That's how it happened. That woman gave it to somebody in Wardensville. They took it home, but then they gave it to somebody that was like a pet rescue or something like that. And we ran an ad in the paper, and that's how we found it. That's how we found it. But that thing had went from Strasburg to West Virginia, back to Winchester, 20 miles. I mean, it traveled like, like everywhere in just a matter of a few days. But yeah, we used to have some times, man. Stoney and I got in a lot of shit over the years, man.
Oh, yeah, Stoney's trip, man.
Him and I were like, we were so good in bars that he would be hitting on a chick and I'd hear nothing that he was saying to her. And he would go to the bathroom and they would slide down and start asking me questions like, is this true? And I'd be like, oh, yeah. And I would just add right on to the story without even knowing, because him and I would go all kinds of places, man. We went to Cleveland a couple times. Ended up with a hooker in the room with us and stuff because she needed to use the bathroom. I was passed out drunk, and I wake up to go to use the bathroom the next morning. There's like lipstick, man. If you need anything, call, blah, 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 and like a phone number. I was like, what in the fuck is this, man? And he's just laughing. So at some point in time, she knocked on the door, asked if she could use the bathroom. He lets her in. And then they decide that they're going to take these Polaroids with her in the bed standing over top of me and shit. So he held them Polaroids over top of me, man, for years, just busting my nuts. If I would go to do anything or something or tell on him or something, act like it, he would start talking about the Polaroid. And I don't remember a single thing of it, man. But yeah, we had some times. I mean, I remember John looking for us before gigs. And everybody's like, go to the bar, go to the local bar right up the street. That's where they're at. And sure enough, that's where we'd be at, And yeah, man, we ran from the cops a couple times. Luckily, we didn't get busted quite a few times. I'm telling you, we used to, I'll tell you, one of the craziest things we ever did was buy a car. You remember Bim Lance,
I know Bim.
So we talked his dad into, we worked for him in the summer. We was only like 12, 13 years old. And he was a plumber, and we would like go run parts for him, for the half a day. And he'd pay us like $20 a week. So we thought we were the shit, And we ended up, man, riding around Strasburg one night, and somebody had a car for sale. And this thing was like a boat, man. It was a Chrysler Cordoba, I think, or something like that. And they had used it to test different colored paints. And they would go out and spray this paint on it to see what it would look like before they put it on the car. So it had primer, man. It had John Orndorff was with us. He was one of them. And so we ended up talking him, Bim's dad, into giving us, like, we were $50 short. We bought it for like $300. Now this is in the 80s, man. So that was a lot of money, And we brought it home, ended up cutting the top off of it, like right above the doors, and grinding it down, man. We put this big ass, like, took piping that his old man had that he, had brought back from jobs and stuff, welded it together, man, stuck it on the front of the car, and we called it the Woods vehicle. And we'd take it back through the woods, man, and just 60 miles an hour, just hit a tree as hard as we could hit it to see what would happen and shit. And yeah, probably some of my issues, man, with back problems and stuff, I'm pretty sure came from doing shit like that. But the wildest thing I ever remember is we had quarter sticks of dynamite, And yeah, that got a little crazy. But we were running that car, hauling ass to try to get away from like 4 or 5 of them we put together and lit them. And it had the same kind of fuse, man. Went real slow, and we were trying to do it before his dad got home, you know. And we could hear him coming because he had a little bitty Toyota truck that had no muffler on it, and we knew when he was coming, so we could have a couple minutes to get our shit straight before he got there, you know, and act like we wasn't doing nothing. So we're listening for that, and we're watching his fuse. And then we decide right at the end of it to haul ass in the car, and they had a Beagle that looked like Flash off of like the Dukes of Hazzard, you know what I'm talking about? And he was sitting in the front seat. Bim's sister Marcia was driving. Bim and I were sitting up front, and I think Wayne was in the back. But this dog was sitting like up front with us. That's when they had the solid, you know, one seat up front. And his dad had gotten some rocks, man, to put down on the driveway, and had put a big pile out there that had set for like a year and a half. So this shit was solid, man. So she decides she's going to jump it. Well, first thing we think is we're going to just go through it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and bury half the car under it. Nope. That son of a bitch shot us up in the air, man. I mean, it did. When we finally landed and stopped, I was on the floorboard. Bill was in the back seat, but the dog had went from the front to the back and back to the front and was underneath the seats, man. And every time we would go to get in that car after that, if he seen us walking towards that car, the dog would tuck its tail, man, and haul ass and hide. So, but anyway, we kept driving it around, man. Had no idea why in the fuck is this thing losing so much gas, you know? So one day they told us we had to stop doing it because we had, a couple of us come out injured a few times. Anyway, his old man told us, you know, I'll catch you driving it, I'm going to blister your asses, you know. So one day we decided we were going to do it while he was gone at work. Well, little did we know that work was the neighbors right around the corner. And he heard us start it up because, you know, we'd done lost everything underneath of it, muffler, everything, you know. Anyway, he come down there. Well, the reason why we was running through so much gas is because it wouldn't drip when it was running, or it wouldn't drip, but a little bit when it was sitting still. But once you apply pressure to it, we were leaving a pretty decent stream behind us. And what did his dad do to stop us? Sure did, man. He lit that fucking gas. And I'm looking back and we're thinking we can outrun it. You know what I'm saying? In the car. So we're hauling ass. No, but it didn't explode or nothing like that, but it did set it on fire, and that was it. The Woods vehicle was gone. But we still talk about that, man, because Gary Sager was with us one time. We hit a tree and he couldn't walk for like 2 days. And he still, man, has that injury at like, he's probably close to 55, 56 years old now, and he still has back issues because of that day. But yeah, man, we got chased quite a few times by cops, man. We'd be out driving the Jeep when we were like 12 years old, out on the main road and stuff, running around and shit like that, you know. And yeah, lucky to be alive. Some of the shit I think about we did, man, I was like, even with you all.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why rednecks are so fucking tough. Because we do stupid shit like that. That's how we have fun, is blowing shit up and crashing cars. I want to tell the audience a little bit about stoning. This is how eccentric and just fucking weird but awesome Stoney was. We had a band called Trial and Error. And it was one of those bands that was almost like a super band, because by the time it was fully formed, you had so many people in it that could have been the star of another band, you know? But there were just so many amazing musicians. And this guy Stoney comes in to try out for bass. And, you know, I don't know Stoney from Adam at this point. And he comes walking in, and the dude looks like Slash, just without the top hat. I mean, that's what he looks like. He has the long, black, curly hair. He looks like Slash.
Howard Stern.
Yeah, like a cross between Slash and Howard Stern. So he comes walking in, and I'm like, what the fuck is this guy, right? Because I'm with a bunch of rednecks here. Yeah, we're long-haired, heavy metal guys, but we're a bunch of rednecks. And here comes this dude, man, and he's like, looks like a fucking alien almost or something. It's like, what is this, you know? And I'm thinking this isn't gonna go well. This dude's not gonna fit in at all, you know. Don't say nothing because I'm a nice guy. I'm not gonna say that to somebody, but that's what I'm thinking. Till he plugs in the bass. Let me tell you, that boy can play a bass. He just starts jamming on that fucking bass, and I ain't never heard nothing like it. And I was like, holy shit. And he gets done with what can only be described as a fucking masterpiece of a bass solo. Just goofing off to try out. And he goes, so what do y'all want to play? Is that good enough? Or I mean, you want me to play something or what? I'm like, do I want you to play something? What the fuck did you just play? He goes, oh, I was just goofing off. I'm like, dude, you're fucking in. You're 100% fucking in, man. That's my vote. You know what I mean? So he comes to my house. I have a house in town at this point. And the way the house laid out, you go to the front door. You had these big double doors that opened up into the master bedroom. That was my room. You had another bedroom off the side, kitchen over here, living room here. And in the living room, there's a big window with like an alcove. The alcove is only a couple feet, but the window's large, right? And so Stoney comes over just to hang out after practice one day and have a beer. And he comes walking in, and I get him a beer, and we're standing in the living room. And he keeps looking over at the window. And I'm talking to him, right? And I'm noticing that he keeps looking over the window, but I don't say nothing because I don't want to embarrass him or anything. And then Stoney being Stoney, he just completely fucking walks away from me when I'm talking to him. Like just completely wanders away all by himself and is standing in the alcove in the window. And I walk over, I'm like, what the fuck you doing, man? He's like, this is a nice ass alcove, man. I said, thanks. He said, can I live in it? I said, what? He said, can I live in your alcove, dude? I'm like, you want to live in my window? He's like, yeah, I really do, man. I think we could fit a futon in here, dude. And I'm like, fuck it, why not? You can live in my alcove. That's cool, whatever. Dude literally shows up the next day. I think it's a joke. I think we're just dicking around, right? He literally shows up the next day at my house, walks in, doesn't knock anything, just walks in carrying a fucking futon and like sets it up and lays down and goes to sleep in my alcove. And he lived in my alcove for like 6 months. Like just moved into my house and lived in my alcove. But Stoney was so fucking cool, I didn't care. I was like, yeah, cool. You live here now. This is your house too, buddy. You know what I mean? And he lived in my window. But that's how eccentric and weird Stoney was. But Stoney is also he'll give you the shirt off his back. He's such a cool guy, but he's never on time. That's the other thing about Stoney. That motherfucker. If you say meet me at 3, you might meet him at 3 a.m. But you meant 3 p.m. He might show up at 3 a.m. the next night and be like, "Hey man, what's up? How y'all doing?" You know what I mean? Yeah, he's a trip. He lives down in Stanton now. I still see him on occasion every now and again. We were just down there like what 6 months, 7 months ago, something like that. I went and saw him. But yeah, Stoney's a good dude, man. It is. We've been doing this a long time. Let's go ahead and do the shout outs and the wrap up and all that stuff. So, Andy, I'll throw to you first because I don't know if old boy's still here. Yeah, he's still here.
There he is. Yeah, Stoney's my best friend, man. Even though we're miles apart, I've yeah, we'll get into telling. That's what we should do a show on, telling stories one night, and people might think a lot differently of us. But I guess my shout out tonight would be to the men who lost their lives 161 years ago, yesterday, today, and tomorrow in Gettysburg. It is a very humbling time right now in town, even though it's a madhouse, to just walk out there and think about the lives lost, and all of us being paranormal people. Obviously, we can feel a little, you just get that feeling that you get used to it after so many years being in places like that. So my shout out would be out to the true historians, the ones that aren't trying to damage history just because maybe it wasn't the best. Even bad history is still history. So I give a shout out to that, to the people that preserved parks like that across the country, across the world. The vets. I mean, just that's the shout out to the vets, I guess, tonight, and the ones that gave the ultimate sacrifice. And a shout out to true friends, ones that hear bullshit and don't take the bullshit. True shout out to them, definitely. But I have a good friend that is in the hospital struggling right now, and I'm not going to say his name because he asked not to, but a shout out to him and the relationship that he and I have had over the last couple of years. Wish him the best, and shout out to the doctors and stuff that are working with him and giving him a chance to make it through a lot of the stuff. And old Jay Powell, give him a shout, man. Been thinking about him lately a whole lot. Yes. And, shout out to all the old friends that we had, all the musicians and the ones that are still doing it or haven't, picked up a stick or a guitar or bass in a long time. Shout out to those that have given us the memories and put us and made us who we are today. And that's good. And shout out to both of you two, man, for being especially you, Hershey, being a big part of it, but Ash being a big part of molding me as the person I am now,
You're welcome, brother. I want to thank everybody for doing the show that we're doing right now. I want to thank the veterans because the 4th of July is in 2 days, a day and a half. I want to thank whoever fought for our country and people who are not here in spirit. Thank you. One day I think that all this fighting that's going on we're gonna need each other. I'm talking about the whole country, the whole world. We're gonna need because something bigger is coming, and we're gonna have to get over this crap what's going on now. And I'm talking about all over the world. And that being said, I want to thank both of you, James. He's been a brother that I've never had. Andy, you're like a brother that I never wanted. But uh, I just played. But I no, Andy's a great guy. I love the dude. Jokes aside, I trust him most in people I've known for 30 years. Yeah, I want to give a shout out to people who listen to our shows on Staring. Watch the videos on Tales of the Abyss. That new show is coming out soon for what we did here in Lucerne. I want to thank the people in We're Screwed. We're just getting going, but it's starting to get people. There's people who's sharing our shows now, and eventually we'll get on a big platform, and you guys are going to start liking what we're doing. We're not going to just talk about politics. We're talking about wrestling, everything, stories. We're going to make people love us and fucking hate us because some of us think we're assholes and some of us love us. Well, I am an asshole, and I'll never. Hey, I'm also vain. That song is probably about me. But other than that being said, I love you guys. And remember, if your name is Special K, stay away. And have a good night, Misfit Sugar Ladies and Monster Lovers. I love you. And have a good night, motherfuckers.
My shout out tonight is going to go to my wife. Today is our 20th wedding anniversary. 20 years ago, I conned this woman into marrying my ass. And she's had to put up with my crazy ass ever since. And that's no small feat. She deserves better, to be completely honest with you. But I try to give her a good life. I try to do everything I can for her. I asked her what she wanted this anniversary. I told her, whatever you want. You can have anything you want. You want to go on a trip, you want a ring, whatever the fuck you want. Just pick it out. Tell me what you want. I'll buy it. Whatever. And she chose, instead of, now don't get me wrong, she was looking at some big old rings. She had some big old rings picked out. And I'll probably buy her one just because I love her. But what she actually wanted this anniversary was for me just to be here, to hang out, because I'm a busy guy. I'm always doing something. I'm always editing. I'm always working. I'm always doing a show. I'm outside in the orchard. I'm always doing something. You know what I mean? I'm not the kind of person that just sits around too much. And her main gift that she wanted was just to hang out with me for the day and watch movies and shit. So that's what we did. We spent the day together. And I got absolutely nothing accomplished other than hanging out with my wife, but that's a pretty damn good day in my book. So my shout out is going to go to her. I married my best friend, and it's worked out. You know what I mean? It's pretty good. I'm very shocked and surprised that she has not left me. Not because I'm a bad guy. I'm not. I don't cheat. I don't beat her. I don't abuse her in any way. I'm a wonderful person. But just she can do so much better. You know what I mean? So much better than this. But hey, I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth. You know what I'm saying? Also, Jay Powell. I want to give him a shout out too. I love Jay. Jay is such an amazing human being. I first met Jay at a little bar called the Rose and Thistle in Front Royal, Virginia. I was with John, and we went in there to have a beer and to watch this band that was another one of those super bands in the area, made up of like Powell and Peacemaker and a bunch of different guys from big bands in the area. And I go in there, and there's this fat guy with long curly hair, and he is just belting. Like, I ain't never heard a voice like that, man. Singing like you wouldn't believe, and just putting on a show. Hell of a showman. And I'm like, who is this fucking guy? This is amazing. So I'm hanging out, I'm listening, I'm loving the show, right? And I'm thinking this guy is going to be a dick. Because one thing about vocalists, I am one. One thing about vocalists is we're dicks. You know what I mean? Most of us are not very friendly, nice people. And that was definitely me back in the day. Before I found Christ again and got saved again and all that, I was not the man that I am now. I was kind of an asshole. Look at the little doggy. But I actually went to a party after the show at Paul Peacemaker's house and got to actually hang out with Jay a little bit and meet him. And he was an amazing, nice guy. And he lived in Front Royal, had a little apartment on Main Street, like down there by where the police department and all that shit was. And we were doing a job, me and John were doing a job in Front Royal, like a temp job. And it was lunchtime, and we were broke. We didn't have any money. And we were very thirsty. And we thought, well, Jay lives down here somewhere, doesn't he? Didn't he say he lived down here on this street? Well, let's go and see if we can figure out what house this is. Maybe we can get some water or something at least. We're fucking hungry and thirsty, you know? So John, there's no surprise that after trial and error and everything, he started a band called Mooch, because that man is a mooch. He will raid anybody's fridge. He just gives zero fucks when it comes to taking your food. So we figured out what house is Jay's by knocking on several doors. And on one of those doors, he answered it. And we said, hey, Jay, how you doing? He goes, the fuck are you guys doing here? And John just walks right in, hey, what you got in the fridge? And opens up his fridge and shit. And most people in that situation be like, dude, get out of my fucking fridge. What are you doing? Right? Because remember, Jay is a musician. He's not rich. He's not doing blockbuster numbers as far as money goes. He doesn't have a whole lot himself. You know, at that time, he was kind of struggling financially. And when you open up his fridge, there wasn't a whole lot in there, you know. But to Jay's credit, not only did he not yell at John for getting into his fridge, but he walked over and made us each a sandwich with a little bit of meat that he had left in his fridge, and gave us some of his filtered water. He didn't have any sodas or anything, but he had filtered water, and he gave us that. And he said, I don't have a lot, but, you know, there's barely anything in there, but you're welcome to anything you want, you know, if you're hungry. That's the kind of guy Jay is. You know, and Jay is now suffering from some medical issues. He's got cancer, and the prognosis is not good from what I understand. I don't want to really get into all the details because it's not my place to say, but I just want to say that we love you. We're praying for you, and you're one hell of a guy. And if you do go, believe me, you'll live on in all of our hearts, because you really made an impression and a difference to a lot of people. And we really do truly love you, brother. And I would like to ask the entire audience, if you pray, to please say a prayer for Jay Powell, for healing and just to help him and Sandy and the family and everybody get through this the best way they can with as little suffering as possible, because he's really a good dude. With that being said, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. As always, up to you to make up your own mind on all this insane rambling that we've been doing. And we'll catch you in the next one. Until we speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.